podcast. We're coming at you today with another Nerd Therapy, exclusively Star Wars. So, looking forward to that. We got Brandon from Clan Brandolorian here. This dude covers a ton of Star Wars content. He's also always on the Galactic Core podcast, which the host Andy over there has been on our podcast a bunch. So great content. Check them out. YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, a lot of good Star Wars stuff, including Funko Pops and all kinds of stuff. So check it out. Great content. Excited to have you on, dude. We'll give you a little intro after we freaking do our intro here. Because we got to tell you guys about some of these episodes we have recently. We're covering Dune Prophecy. 2 episodes at a time. Those are coming out. We got our Weekend Geeks. A lot of good nerd news coming out there. We got a couple new comic talk episodes with guests, Illuminati and Kurono, talking about Batman villains, Spider-Man, Marvel and DC events and eras. So a lot of that kind of stuff coming out. Check us out. We are at Why So Sidious Pod on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and X. So give us a follow since TikTok is shutting down. Pretty soon you'll see our YouTube get all kinds of crazy. We're going to do a lot of new stuff on YouTube if that shutdown really happens, which it sounds like it will. And anyway, yes, that's where we're at socials. Those are our episodes. So let's get into it. And first, let's talk to Brandon here. Tell us a little about yourself. You've been a Star Wars fan your whole life. What made you a Star Wars fan? Maybe a favorite movie, maybe a favorite book. Do you read the books too?
Man, I wish I could get into the books. I feel like I've discovered myself with some ADHD as in my adult years. So reading, man, if it's not interesting right away, I'm like, I might have to get back on this later. But
That's okay.
I would love to.
Caleb's never even learned to read, so you're not alone.
Hey, we might be right there together, bro. But actually, speaking of Star Wars books, I have read Dark Disciple.
Nice.
I'm a huge Quinlan Voss fan, so obviously I'm gonna be drawn into that right away. But I would love to read more. I know, Jack and Jimmy from Explore the Force podcast, they talk a lot within the books. So kind of jealous of all the extra knowledge they get. But, I mean, it's a Google search away, but I don't want to take the easy route. I need to start reading. But yeah, my name's Brandon from Clan Brandolorian, YouTube channel, and a side quest, kind of doing the podcast on the side as well. But yeah, everything Star Wars, lore, theory, Funko, and Lego. Something that I like to call the sickness, all the plastic behind me. I like to talk about it. I like to show it off. You spend a lot of money and you get pretty cool gifts on it, so might as well show it off. But yeah, I loved Star Wars since a young child. Shout out to my dad being a huge space geek, kind of pushing that off on me. And of course, Star Wars is the realm where I like to get nerdy and geeky, as Andy would say from the Galactic Core podcast. But yeah, that's kind of what I do, man.
Anything outside of Star Wars?
Sorry, I was just going to throw that. Speaking of, we got Andy from the Galactic Core. He's in the chat already. He says he got up at 4 a.m. to watch my 2 fave pods, talk about my fave stuff, hashtag let's fucking go. So we got Andy in the chat.
There we go.
Out there. Thank you, Andy.
What's
Andy's
up, Andy?
a real one. Yeah, anything outside of Star Wars? Is that like your exclusive nerd stuff? Any Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, anything else?
Man, I have never been one to get too deep into Marvel. My best friend is a huge Marvel fan. He actually gifted me a Rescue Pop 2 Christmases ago, so that's my only Marvel piece in my collection. But
Rescue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you asking about that.
I was like, yeah, I don't know who this person is. It looks like Iron Man, but it's not Iron Man. It has boobs.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I've never really gotten into Marvel. Game of Thrones, no. Really, the only other shows that I used to really be into is like The Walking Dead. Like I feel like I know way too much Walking Dead for my own good. Keeping up with all the new shows, the ones who live, Daryl Dixon, Book of Carol.
Oh, really?
But yeah, so other than that, I mean, just it's really Star Wars, kind of boring, but I just keep in my one lane and I just keep going with it.
Yeah, the collection is freaking awesome, and the display, the lighting, it's really on point.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's come a long way for sure.
Dude, it looks awesome back there. You've got quite the collection. Like, I can't go without saying. You're stacked up back there. So
Yeah, actually, speaking of it, Stranger Things. I don't know how I could miss that.
Oh,
That's kind of my other thing. Half of the pops back here are actually Stranger Things. I don't
nice.
know how
That's
I'd forget that. Wife's
Oh yeah.
Harry Potter. So yeah, pretty geeky here.
There you go.
nice.
Perfect.
All right, so what we're gonna do is maybe jump into some of the big recent news on Star Wars. We don't have to get really into it, and then talk about the things we love, and then maybe talk about some of the stuff that's been a little disappointing lately, because I'm sure there's a little bit. And then we'll get into some philosophical questions and stuff like that. That's kind of how we do nerd therapy here. So I really want to get your opinion on this Simon Kinberg trilogy that they announced. I mean, and what percentage of you believes that this will actually come out, because they don't have a great track record of making announcements and confirming things and following through with them. So if it does happen, are you excited? Do you think it'll happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I feel like with a lot of things coming out, I feel like that's Disney's main flaw is just, announcing things, and it doesn't fall through. Clearly, we need more. We want more, side stories and main stories. It seems like a lot of people still want the Kenobi season 2 or the trilogy that it was, supposed to get. But I mean, yeah, I would like to see more projects, but I want it to be for sure. That's really my main thing.
Yeah. And if it does come out, are you confident in this? Are you confident in Simon Kinberg? You think they got something nice brewing there with a new trilogy of an actual episodic trilogy?
Yeah, I think that is more of the route that it should go, especially because I mean this is the 10, 11, 12 that they're proposing,
They're
right?
saying.
Yeah.
So I mean there's a lot that they can pull from that, but at the same time, I mean, I feel like when that was first like revealed, Twitter was up in a blaze, one of the most dangerous places on the internet. But I mean, yeah, I mean, if it comes out, I'm gonna watch it. More than likely, I'm gonna love it. I'm a Star Wars fan, so I mean, yeah, bring it on. I'd love to see what happens.
For sure.
I do. I do like that one person is writing all three movies. That's a good start, at least. That we have one
Yes.
mind doing the trilogy, not going to pass it off to two different people. That's a good start, and I would like to see Rey be redeemed in a way where she won't be the main character in these movies, but she'll be more of the Obi-Wan Kenobi from the original trilogy type of character. And I would like to see her get a better send-off than what we got in Rise of Skywalker.
Totally with you. Dave, do you have any new thoughts on this, or are you kind of just waiting to see if it'll even happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. I haven't been shy about that in the past as far as my expectations on movie announcements. I think that's the biggest thing Star Wars needs right now is to land a legitimate movie. Like, I think that's their biggest thing right now. You gotta show the people you can put a movie out, and a movie that people want. So, yeah, I'm still waiting to hear more. But again, like I said before, if this is a move, why the Rey movie kind of got postponed a little bit or taken off the schedule as a whole, and then we got news of this trilogy, I'm just hoping it's consolidated. I'm hoping they did that because Rey is going to be in this new Simon Kinberg trilogy. And again, yeah, I have nothing against Rey as a character, so I would love for them to really just have a coherent trilogy that really gives her even if she's the main character, I'd be fine with that too. Just do it well, tell a full story through the trilogy. But yeah, I'm open to hear what they're doing. I'm not gonna hold my breath until I see a trailer and we start seeing these things getting closer to the release date. But
Yeah, we need a trailer.
It's been 5 years since the last Star Wars movie. That's crazy. Especially
That is
since
crazy.
their legacy is on the big screen. Like, that's really where they're at. But I agree. Rey's an excellent character, and I really liked Kylo too. I think those two characters and their dynamic was amazing throughout all three movies, regardless if the movie was great or not. And by the way, Brandon, what are your thoughts on that trilogy? So, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. What do you like them?
How
You
much
know,
time you got?
I enjoy them. I think it's obviously not what I grew up with. I was born in '97, so I got the prequels gifted to me. But I also remember being a kid and people saying, like, oh, like a young Obi-Wan, that's not what, Alec Guinness was, or Hayden Christensen, whiny acting. But it seems like, just within the last 3-4 years, he's getting love, so it all came back full circle, and it's cool because that's what I grew up with. But that's kind of how I look at the sequels, like my little brothers, they wanna lean in and be like, oh, it sucks, just like everyone else, but knowing damn well they enjoy it. But they just don't wanna stay up to queue with that. But yeah, I like them. I feel like it's some of the most rewatchable Star Wars, and that might sound crazy, but it's just for the visuals. Obviously, it's more updated than 99, '02, and '05, and of course 77, 80, and 83. So we're gonna get better things on the screen. But could it have been better? 100%, 100%. And I
Yeah.
think just like Lub said, like obviously, one director and one person writing these scripts, that's gonna help tremendously. When you got J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson just kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, and you can tell, halfway through The Last Jedi that some things just like flipped, like 3/4 or like the first fourth of the movie. You're just like, oh, okay, that took a weird turn, So, some things could stay together, but I mean, overall, I enjoy them. I catch myself watching them, probably more than any other movie, I would say, because I've watched 1 through 6 repeatedly, growing up. So, but yeah, I enjoy them.
Yeah, it's like a crime to the nerd world that they didn't have a 3-movie plan in place. I mean, this is Star Wars. It's like one of the most legendary, if not the most legendary movie franchise out there. Yet you didn't put a plan in place all 3 movies. You literally had different directors come in and doing different things. That's why I hate. I like it too, though. I just hate the idea of how it could have been so much better. But like Force Awakens is one of probably a top 3 Star Wars movie for me. I absolutely love it, and I still kind of think it was appropriate to kind of repeat A New Hope because it's like a new generation of fans. You're going back to basics. You're saying, hey, we're back, kind of do the story again, sure. But like I said, the visuals were amazing. And yeah, Last Jedi, I like a little more every time I watch it. I didn't like it at first because he just went back on everything that J.J. Abrams did with The Force Awakens. Like, just turned around and went the other direction with a couple of these arcs, and that was annoying. But now, after you get over that, you can sit down and appreciate it, and it's not bad. Rise of Skywalker, loved it the first time for some reason. I think it's aesthetically pleasing. I think it's super entertaining. But once you break it down and get to like the story of it, you're like, whoa, what are they doing? So now that's probably my least favorite. But I still think they had a couple of the coolest scenes, like the first scene when Kylo met Palpatine. I love that scene still. I still love the scene where Palpatine launches his lightning into the sky and shuts down a ton of those ships.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty sick.
If you just watch Rise of Skywalker and forget everything that happened before it, you could have fun watching the movie.
Right.
If
It's
you try and,
entertaining.
figure things out. It's like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Brandon, the visuals are beautiful. So I obviously have not held back on certain takes on The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, which is funny enough. Same with JD. I came out of Rise of Skywalker texting my older brother. They did it. And now it's my least favorite of the trilogy, too. I'm like, I don't know what happened there. But for all the crap I've given the new trilogy there, it is visually beautiful. And so I agree. It's rewatchable, especially Force Awakens, I think is arguably one of the most rewatchable in the saga because of that reason, because it's just gorgeous to look at. We're seeing these new types of familiar things we've seen in the past. But it's just such an interesting dynamic for this trilogy. And like everybody says, I am curious to see in 10 years, will it have that flip that the prequels had? Because the prequels is they're praised now, and they got ripped when we were kids. Even though I loved them growing up, we loved them. They got ripped. So I'm very curious to see how every year that passes, how the reception is going to change on those movies. But yeah, I think we can all say Force Awakens was still a solid entry into Star Wars.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Do you think if like you didn't ever see A New Hope? I mean, I feel like The Force Awakens is just a good movie, and like one of the biggest problems everyone had is it was a repeat of A New Hope, which is true, and that doesn't even bother me. But if you never saw A New Hope, that movie itself, for what it is really good, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some amazing dogfight scenes with Poe in there. Like, there's a lot of really solid stuff. I loved Kylo's entry in this thing. My biggest thing is I wish we could have saw Han, Leia, and Luke together before Han got killed. That's not going to be something that makes it ruins the movie for me. That's just kind of a nitpick. But no, as a whole, especially, yeah, if you're not being nitpicky, like this is kind of rehashing stuff we've seen. Yeah, I think it was a solid movie.
Every time I see Han Solo come on screen for the first time in that movie, it feels good. It just feels good.
Dude.
Oh yeah, when they walk into
"We're
the
home."
Falcon.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yes. Oh God.
That's good stuff.
Warms the soul
They-
there.
They did kind of make him a deadbeat dad and husband, though.
Yeah, what
He's
the
just
hell happened
a
there?
loser. Owes people money. Hasn't done very well since Return of the Jedi.
Right. Yeah, still owing people money. All right, so Brandon, let me ask you this. You got Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Andor's probably the best. Out of those three, which one do you like the best?
Man, ooh. You know, Boba Fett is my second favorite character, but you mentioned my number one favorite character, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think, I think the Kenobi series, it wasn't what I expected, but I'll tell you the intro to the first episode in the beginning credits where we get the flashback of everything in the prequels, I was like, dude, I'm 8 again. Like, this is insane. Actually, I remember speeding home from a bar shift. Like, oh well, shit, they're releasing it at 11 p.m. tonight. So yeah, I mean that I would have to go with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and Andor, like you could be a casual Star Wars fan or not even really a Star Wars fan at all, and you could watch Andor, and you could then unlock the Star Wars realm.
Right.
Just starting with Andor, that's how good of a series it is. So I mean, it's hard to pick, but I mean, yeah, I got to go Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think
I
it's
feel
just
like
it touches.
sorry.
No, you're good.
I feel like Andor is overall a better show, but Kenobi and Ahsoka have better highs. Like the highs of Anakin and Ahsoka facing off, and then Kenobi and Vader facing off is better than
Man.
anything that's in Andor. But
Yeah, there's
Andor
lightsabers.
Yeah, it's right. But Andor is like probably like the critically acclaimed best show.
Let me ask you this: did you see the Patterson cut of Obi-Wan? Or have you heard of it?
Yes.
I think that it could be a top 3 Star Wars movie right there. And he did it so well. It doesn't even feel like an edit. It feels like a movie. I absolutely love that thing, dude. It's like one of the best Star Wars movies out there, but no one's seen it because you got to like go into this dude's socials, download
And then
it.
like download it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
It
the
was
only
sick.
thing that I didn't really mind for it was the added music, which I understand that gives it, a lot more weight, but I feel like with the dark and the stillness that Kenobi had, you really feel that
Oh, yeah.
that darkness, and Vader just, coming back and like really wanting Obi-Wan. But that's not knocking, the Patterson cut, because the Ahsoka one too is fire. Like that dude knows what he's doing.
I haven't seen it. Haven't seen that one.
I haven't either. Is that
all-
does it cut in Rebels and stuff with it, or what does he do with the Ahsoka cut?
So I was only able to watch basically the first 2 episodes worth. So I kind of, a little over an hour watching it. I didn't see anything Rebels wise, but I'm pretty sure that there at some point is more of a call to Kanan Jarrus.
Okay.
From what I've seen on Twitter. I mean, obviously, like in the Ghost, you can see like the little like scrapbook picture of him on Hera's dash, which is really cool. And I think it actually is Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah.
in that picture too. So that's really cool. But I think they do touch base on a little bit more with him.
Okay.
And they didn't make it a movie. He did each episode.
Oh, well, it is a movie, but he did. I was only able to get through basically the first 2 episodes put together.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's really brilliant.
Okay.
Check that out.
Yeah, same. The last bit of news that we could kind of get into is the Rey movie. Did you have high hopes for the Rey movie? Are you sad that it's taken off the schedule, right? I don't know if it's actually canceled. I'm wondering if they are actually deciding to bleed that story into the new trilogy, because it would seem weird to have Rey with her own movie, single movie, and then a new trilogy with Rey in it. Like, why not tell that story in the trilogy? Do you think it's actually canceled? Were you looking forward to it?
I think Yeah, 100% looking forward to it. I think that actually you mentioning it kind of gives me more of an idea of, yeah, just blend it together, because I feel like Charmin Obaid Chinoy had a lot of things to kind of correlate with Ray. It was more of like, oh, we're gonna give this woman a shot at a main role, when it's just like, hey, let's just give Ray this opportunity to kind of bounce back from the sequels. I feel like when we try to really pinpoint certain aspects into a character, that's when it throws everything away, and you're just gonna really lose a big audience at that point. But I mean, I know that she's written some good stuff before, but at the same time, I just think maybe they can take some parts of her story and blend it in. That would make a lot more sense, in my opinion. But I just feel like with kind of all the basically kind of taking the outside route instead of just making a movie, writing a movie, just sticking with it. I think if she kind of like paid more attention to that, I would be a little more hyped with the standalone. But yeah, like I said, with you mentioning the bleeding it into the story, I think that would work out 10 times better.
For sure. I think that's why it's off the schedule. That wouldn't make sense. But let me rewind, Dave, because I don't even know what your answer would be. Like favorite Disney Plus show outside of Andor, or if it is better than Andor, but out of like Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, not including Rebels or Clone Wars. What's at the top of your list?
I just started rewatching Ahsoka, mainly because of Jedi Survivor. I got Jedi Survivor. I hadn't been in the Star Wars mood, and then I was like, what, I'm gonna watch Ahsoka while I'm going, and that's gonna make me want to play the game even more. I got through the first episode, and then there was other episodes, other shows dropping and whatnot. So I haven't gotten back to it. So I actually haven't I haven't rewatched Ahsoka since the series aired. I'd rewatch an episode or so in the midweeks and whatnot, but I haven't gone and watched it back as a whole. So I got to do that before I can say for sure. But that being said, I loved it the first time around. I know a lot of people had some gripes with Ahsoka. I understand some of the gripes. I understand I wasn't crazy about the Sabine aspects here and there and her Force use, some of Ezra's stuff. But overall, dude, I loved it. As somebody who loved the Rebels story, as somebody who Ahsoka is one of my favorite new Star Wars characters, but one of my favorite of all time. She's up there for me. I was just stoked to get it. We got Ray Stevenson's performance in it, some of the best lightsaber work we'd seen in a while up until the Acolytes episode 4 there. So I really liked it, but I gotta finish the rewatch before I can determine if it's above Kenobi or not for me. Because Kenobi I had more issues with. There were some better peaks throughout it. Obviously, everything with Kenobi and Vader was incredible. But if I had to absolutely say right now, I'd put Ahsoka over it, just because the Anakin flashbacks, dude, all this stuff we got with that thing, and Ahsoka herself, it was just so awesome.
For sure. Love, what about you?
Yeah, it's close. You didn't mention Acolyte? You don't think that's in anyone's top 3?
Oh, yeah, I figured it wasn't, but I did forget about it.
It's not
I kind of
mine.
forgot it existed for a second. And Mandalorian, I guess, doesn't count because there's 3 seasons.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
Oh,
But
well,
that was also
that
probably the
changes
best.
things. Mando
Right.
season 2 is up there.
I still
Yeah.
think I have season 1 above season 2, but both of those seasons are like top 3 of any of the series coming out.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Well, between Ahsoka and Kenobi, I think I would lean Ahsoka slightly because I love the flashbacks with Anakin, and I think the new characters introduced, Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, were 2 like great new characters. Kenobi was just kind of like filling in the gaps. There wasn't really setting up anything for the future. So and I'm very excited for Ahsoka season 2. I can't wait for that. So I gotta pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon, what are your thoughts on the Thrawn, like the climactic movie? So we're going to get Ahsoka season 2. We're going to get Mandalorian and Grogu. Then I assume that they're going to have their climax movie. Thrawn is the main villain. Like, that excites me. Thrawn is one of the coolest Star Wars character for me. Got probably a top 3 book in the canon side of things. I also like Heir to the Empire, the Legends one, but I actually like the canon one better. Thrawn is super cool. Sherlock Holmesy, deducing these issues, studying the planet's, the civilization's art so he can determine how they're going to act and the decisions they're going to make based on their art. I think that is really cool. And as a villain, I really can't wait for this climactic movie. I hope they build up to it well. but like, how are they going to get there? You think it's going to be Mandalorian and Grogu, then
He
Ahsoka
needs
season
it.
2? Is it all going to be leading up to this climax, or is it going to be their own story?
Right.
It's so weird too because we get live action Thrawn and basically like what he's aiming for with the Night Troopers, the Night Sisters, Night Mothers. It's all kind of coming together, but it's just weird to think that there's going to be the Filoni Endgame um, rendition of the Mandoverse, but it's all coming from the Ahsoka series. I feel like, obviously Mando has met Ahsoka, Ahsoka's met Luke. Tying Book of Boba Fett, Mando, and Ahsoka all right there.
Right.
And then also Skeleton Crew has to tie in with this as well. It takes place during the same time, so it's going to be really interesting. But I mean, being one who didn't really get into Rebels right away, and of course the books, like we mentioned at the beginning, I didn't really have an opinion on Thrawn. But watching Rebels the first time through, I'm like, man, this dude's a master strategist. I love this. This is different, especially in Star Wars. It seems like you have the Force or you have magic, and that's how you kind of get your smarts. But nah, like Thrawn he's different. But I just think the entire Thrawn and Ahsoka, man, it was just something that I think it's just some of the best things that we've seen in a Disney Star Wars series overall, actually. But I think kind of leading into that Endgame movie, I think really what's going to happen is Thrawn is going to have to take that. It seems like he's kind of like in the middle, like he's like right down the middle, being good or bad. And she's kind of just doing his own thing. And especially with what I've seen in YouTube videos, like understanding his Chiss background, it seems that he's not messing around with, like who he is loyal to. So I could, kind of see him turning sides in this movie. So I think it will be pretty interesting to actually see what happens.
Same. I wonder what his overall goal is going to be. Like, Thanos kill half alive for the better of life, but like, what is going to make him a villain that deserves so much build up and his own movie?
When you
what do
got to
think?
think too, because if you did read the novels, there are aspects that carry over, but there are aspects of Thrawn we haven't really seen on screen yet that we saw in the novels. Like his driving motivation for a lot of it was, yes, he was using the Empire to ascend the ranks and to grow power and to have, more of a say on things. But his end game was to protect his people, to protect the Chiss ascendancy, to protect his people back home. So his main thing wasn't to help the Empire grow. It was, how can I use the Empire to protect my people through this process? So I'm curious to see if we'll ever get that aspect on screen, or if they're going to leave that type of feel to his backstory and his motivations in the novels themselves. But I'm very interested to see, what direction they go. And again, we've seen him in the Legends books. He was in the Legends trilogy too. That was after the original trilogy there. So there's a few different aspects of Thrawn. I'm curious to see what they're going to lean into. While we're talking about these shows, by the way, Andy in the chat said surely Mando season 2 is the best season of Star Wars television. So it looks like Andy agrees with me on that, on the 2/1. But it's one of those things I could go back and rewatch both of them back to back, and it's a coin toss. I might end up saying I think I liked season 1 more, but season 2 with Luke and Ahsoka and everything, bro, it's just there's more bang for your buck. There's more flashing lights, I guess, per se, whereas season 1 of Mando was just a really amazing kind of origin startup season to a show. It didn't need all the cameos, the flash and everything. It just told an amazing story and really made us care about this character that we had never been introduced to yet. So I love that. But
same.
Hey, not to mention my boy Cobb Vanth stealing the season right away. Like that first episode, I'm like, who is this? Who's the silver fox of the galaxy right here?
Right?
Who is this man? So yeah, I'm all for season 2, and yeah, Boba Fett coming back, Fennec Shan's dope. Yeah, really good season.
Yes, sir. And one more, sorry, real quick. Victor Alcantara, he has been a legend, joining us in Dune episodes, the last couple Dune episodes. He is in the chat as well. He says, hey guys, everything going okay? Are they going to do something like the Avengers? And Victor, we think it won't quite be on that scale, but yes, this movie it's going to tie together all of the different Star Wars Disney Plus series together, kind of like an Avengers ensemble project. So, yeah, I think it'll be somewhat like that.
I think it'll be like one phase of the MCU, right? Like getting all these characters together, figuring out a common goal, and then one common villain. So that's your Avenger movie is going to be that Thrawn movie. And that's what makes it really cool. That shows planning ahead. You know, they actually have some kind of plan for the Dave Filoni side of things. You know, at least with that, as opposed to the last trilogy we got without planning. But I'm really excited.
Yeah.
And you got a dude like Thrawn who is just going to be an epic villain, dude. As long as they treat him right, as long as he stays true to his source material, and there hasn't been anything bad with Thrawn. Rebels amazing. In Ahsoka, I thought he was amazing. You know, his books are amazing. There's a couple pretty slow books. Like, I didn't love his Ascendancy trilogy. I didn't even love his third book in the first trilogy of Thrawn books. No, that was the second one. The third one was Alliances.
No, second was Alliances.
The second was Alliances. The third one was Treason. You're right. That's my
I
bad.
think it was Treason. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I never finished that one, so I still
Right.
gotta go back and try that.
No, it started out really good, too, but then it really dragged in the middle, and I didn't finish it either. So maybe it does get better towards the end.
Old suck it, lub.
I don't even remember what happened. So you guys are good.
Okay.
Right, that's kind of forgettable. But the first Thrawn book, Brandon, dude, that's a good book. That's a really good book.
Great.
Cool. I've been recommended the Brotherhood book as
Wasn't a
a
fan. Wasn't a fan.
one to throw up towards the top. That and Dooku Fallen Jedi, Lost Jedi.
Yes.
Haven't read it.
That's just
Yep.
an
Yeah,
It's
audio book.
great.
Or it's a book now too, maybe.
I think, but yeah, the audiobook, they have a cast, so they have voice actors for every character for the audiobook for that, and it's really good. I
Dope.
for sure would recommend Dooku as well. Yeah, Brotherhood, me and JD weren't crazy about.
That's the Anakin.
It was Anakin and Obi-Wan. You'd think it would be
Right.
awesome. It was just there was a lot of filler and not a lot of
felt
stuff.
slow.
It felt like, yeah, it just didn't feel like there was a major event worth a book. But you do get insights into Anakin and Obi-Wan, which is always awesome. But
That's
it
kind of
just-
like.
I thought it was
Master and
better.
It wasn't bad by any means,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't throw it in my top.
Yeah.
So if you guys were to recommend me one book out of all Star Wars, where am I starting?
We're all going to say Plagueis,
Plagueis.
probably.
Well, my brain went there. I was gonna try to.
And that is Legends now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, technically it is. It's got
Well-
a chance of being brought over, I guess. Well, yeah, I guess with Plagueis being thrown into the Acolyte, I don't know where it stands.
Acolyte
now
never
with
happened.
that. Well, can't just say that.
Plagueis, yes, but the Darth Bane trilogy, dude. It is
Yeah, that was
just
good.
simply peak Star Wars, especially if you like the Sith-oriented stuff. That's such a fun book. Whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, that's a sick book of just this dude starting as like a miner doing nothing and then going into the Sith, overtaking the whole Sith. I don't want to say empire, but the whole Sith organization and making it his own. And then the Rule of Two is book 2, and that's an excellent book. Yeah, really good.
Sweet.
What about canon?
Canon.
Thrawn one, because not only do you get this intro to this super interesting character, it was just you don't want to put it down because you're reading this man's thoughts and it's just like, wow, this guy is he's just a genius. He's so far ahead of everybody. But the other thing is you get this cool insight into the structure of the Empire and the Imperial Army and Navy and everything. Like you start learning how the rankings kind of works, and you get inside looks at stuff like that you've never really seen with the Imperials before. So it's a pretty
Sweet.
solid canon thing to start with. Yeah.
Oh,
And-
yeah, perfect.
There's cool Easter eggs. Like, I think Anakin turns into Darth Vader during this book. Am I getting that mixed up with like Lost Stars or something? Like the legend of Darth Vader starts growing in the middle of this book, like he was just created, or it was more of a mystery. You didn't know it was Anakin, but
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, the Emperor, all of a sudden has this right hand named Darth Vader. That's a super interesting character in Thrawn's mind. So kind of like, in a way, mildly ties into stuff that's going on in the canon that we all know and love.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick. Andy says, I highly recommend the From a Certain Point of View books. Give so much context to certain situations in the original trilogy. I don't know that I'm familiar with that. Is that ringing a bell to anybody?
Yeah, they did the original
From a cer-
trilogy. There's a New Hope, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, I think.
You're talking about novelizations of the movies, or
No, it's just like they go through the events of the movie, but from a different person's point of view. So, like a random side character,
Oh.
or like maybe
It's
not
an
the main
anthology of 40 short stories.
person. Right.
that
I
go
think I've seen
throughout
them
the
at
original
Target.
trilogy. Huh.
damn.
Yeah,
Never even
interesting.
heard of it. All right.
I think the
I
books
think they're
are why
big books. I think they're huge
really?
books.
probably with multiple stories in each book.
Yeah,
40.
I'd imagine.
might have to try. Yeah, I might have to check that out.
Yeah, the books I think are why I'm such a big Star Wars fan. I absolutely love many of those books. Well, really, I think Dave's the reason I'm a Star Wars fan. In college, it was like before the Force Awakens came out. We were always visiting each other, going to college in Sacramento, and he was hyped about it. So we sat down and watched all the movies, and like I've seen them before as a kid. But I wasn't a gigantic fan yet. Granted, I loved Darth Vader. I was Darth Vader for Halloween a couple times, and I saw the prequels. I saw all the prequels in the theaters, but I also remember as a kid being mad that Darth Vader wasn't a big part of Revenge of the Sith. And now it's one of my favorite movies. But I remember as a kid, like, where the hell is Darth Vader? Like, Dad, this is some bullshit. And then, Dave, we rewatch them all. I'm like, okay, I really appreciate this. The Force Awakens came out, loved it. Started reading some books. Rogue One came out, freaking loved it, because that came out right after Force Awakens. And I started reading the book, starting with Catalyst, which is like a prequel to Rogue One. Makes the movie better. Like, you get to see what Galen Erso was up to, how he got brought into the Empire, Orson Krennic, and it's a really good book. Makes Rogue One even better. Like, the next chapter after you leave off of Catalyst, the next chapter would be the first scene in Rogue One. It's kind of how it goes, and everything's set up so well.
Oh wow! Do you think that's going to tie in with Andor season 2?
It has to. Oh wow, that's a good idea. I should reread that for Andor season 2.
I'm pretty sure Andor season 2, like the last 15 seconds it's supposedly it's Andor walking down the alley, just like in the beginning of Rogue One.
Right.
Interesting.
That's what I've been hearing.
But the Andor character isn't involved in the book. None of that stuff is in that book. It's all Galen Erso, and Jin was born in that book.
Oh, okay.
There might be some stuff that'll tie in, but yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Good book.
Might be. Before we break off from this, sorry, one more. Victor threw out a question, and I am curious. You can just briefly say if you think it's likely in the next 5 years or not. But he says, will we still see Darth Plagueis after the Acolytes? So, do you guys think there's a chance we see Plagueis pop up in any projects in the next 3 to 4 years? I kind of think we won't, but I'm curious what you guys think.
I'm gonna go with no, even though I really want him. I just don't see it happening with the Acolyte being such a not a success. I'll just say it that way. And I don't know where else he would fit in. I don't know.
I would like to see Manny Jacinto back, and I feel like that opens doors for Plagueis. But I just feel like it's just lost at this point. It's just lost.
Yeah, they swing and a miss.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's the thing. I enjoyed, I would say, a good 75% of it. I just feel like it wasn't what it was hyped up to be. So once you get this project, it's like, oh, this isn't what we were talking about 2 years ago. We get the Sith in the last, episode, and you don't really understand the Sith really in that. But I mean, overall, shit looked awesome. Character is cool. But yeah, I want Plagueis, but I don't think so.
Straight up. Yeah, I love you with us. You don't think Plagueis is showing up?
No, we talked about Acolyte season 1. I was okay with him showing up in season 2 and maybe them trying to use him in a better job than they did when him just peeking around a corner, creeping around. But no, I feel like they shouldn't even really touch that at all. Like, they tried, they failed. Let's just move on to new stories.
Yeah. 10 years from now, if there's a new creative team, Kathleen Kennedy, someone replaces her and they're hitting on all cylinders, I wouldn't mind a prequel movie to adapt that Plagueis book, because that's such an excellent book. It's we keep talking about it, Brandon, but it's pretty much a prequel to the prequels. It shows Plagueis, taking Palpatine under his wing, how they set up a lot of that manipulation that ends up manifesting in the prequels. You even get Palpatine finding a child Darth Maul And
I was just gonna say that.
yeah,
Torturing-
so I mean,
torturing him.
Damn.
it sets up a lot of really cool stuff. It feels like it really should be canon.
Wow.
But yeah.
I say another good book is the Rise of Skywalker novelization. Remember, Dave, we listened to that one. It actually fleshes out the movie a lot, where you get
Oh,
like
yeah,
you
I
get like
did.
a good like 30 minutes of Kylo on. It's Mustafar. He's on Mustafar, right? We don't even know that in the.
Oh,
movie.
at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He's on
think
Mustafar, and we
so.
kind of figure out why he's there, what's going on. It explains a lot with Palpatine, what's going on Exegol. So, because I just needed like something
It
to
does help.
justify what was happening in that movie, and the book does try its best to make it make sense. So it's interesting to read.
It's like, here, we're trying to make it better. Just read
Yeah.
this shit.
that's
Lightning bolts.
That's like what Shadows of
out
the Sith does. Yeah, books are good. So let's move on to quick thoughts on Skeleton Crew. Like Lub, I know you're caught up episode 3. Are you like loving it, liking it? How are you feeling about Skeleton Crew so far?
Spoiler free. Spoiler free.
Spoiler free. Spoiler free.
Spoiler free. Everyone dies. No.
I knew it.
He said no spoilers.
It was thrown.
I'm enjoying it actually. Like it is definitely aimed for children, but so was Clone Wars and Rebels when you think about it. And I mean, all of Star Wars is that's what George Lucas said. But this is definitely aimed for a younger audience. But I'm still enjoying it. It's well done. There's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of practical effects inside the ship and other like set pieces they're at. It's not inside the volume. I mean the kid characters. A couple of them are pretty, kind of plucky, kind of annoying, but there's another one I do like.
Don't
them
call me
most.
plucky.
And Jude Law's character is very interesting. Definitely more to him than what I was imagining. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, Dave, are you
Hell
liking
yeah.
it? Or have you finished episode 3?
No, dude. So I've only finished the first episode, but the reason why is because I finished it and was like, I really enjoyed that. I'm gonna watch the rest of these with my wife. I think she's gonna like this show. And so I'll just say based on the first episode, yeah, you know that going in, it's more aimed towards kids. You can tell we're following a group of kids. It's kind of like the Goonies and Star Wars universe is how I was bringing my expectations into it. And I love the Goonies, so as long as I know that's the case and I'm going into. And I watched episode 1. I loved it. I thought it was really fun. I liked the two kids, the first two kids. The two new ones, I can tell the talkative girl, we'll see how she goes. I have a feeling she might be one of the characters I'm not crazy about. Her friend with the visor is interesting, though.
She's cool.
The elephant kid is hilarious. I love the elephant
Love
kid.
that guy.
Like, he's just hilarious, bro. I love watching. So it was one of those things where it just had a feel-good vibe to it. So I just enjoyed it. Like Leb said, I think they utilized the world of Star Wars. Outside of the suburban neighborhoods, taking a bus to school, that for a second was a little weird to, process. Galaxy far, far away, but it's kind of like that's our world right there. But I was very pleasantly surprised with episode 1. So I'm looking forward to the next couple episodes. And I know my wife's going to enjoy it based on what I saw. So we're definitely going to watch them. But I think it's cool. I think it's a cool little project they got going here.
It is kind of funny how there's ice world, lava world, forest world, and this is suburban world. It's just
It's about time.
a whole world of nice neighborhoods. Never seen that before.
I actually like the suburban aspect. It's such a big galaxy. There should be a large variety of planets that we haven't really dove into. We've gotten our sand planet in every single movie. We've gotten so much familiarity, whereas there's thousands of planets out there. So exploring something, one of them, of course, should be familiar to our world. And there's something fishy about that world. Like no one has it on their map. So I'm really looking forward to
Spoiler.
like what's. I guess. Yeah, I guess.
No, because there's a mystery to the planet for sure.
There's a mystery to the planet. I like that. I like that they're committed to the story. Yeah, it's like I'm like invested in these characters. They haven't really accomplished that with every series they've been putting out lately. So even if it is not necessarily my jam, I want darkness and Sith and all that, but I just like that they're doing story, whereas other episodes seem to be more oriented to Flash, even though they didn't have a great story. This is it just gives me a little hope, moving forward. Brandon, what do you think about Skeleton Crew?
Yeah, man, I think it's really good. I'm excited to watch the new episode tonight. It's already halfway over after the next episode. So, I'm in the same boat with you guys. I really think that I mean, regardless of what you believe in, I feel like it kind of speaks to what we got here on Earth. You know, I feel like we're pretty sheltered with things as a planet. We fight with other countries. We are easily, controlled in a way, and I feel like that's what Atten's representing. I don't know if that's what the directors are kind of aiming for. That way, it's a little more relatable. But it's a huge breath of fresh air. I feel like,
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be 4 kids, and a weird suspicious dude, and I think it's exactly what we're getting. We're getting 4 cool kids, and we're getting a very interesting man who has like 3 to 4 different personas. I think this is a really good show, and it's for the kids. It can be for the wives too. I was telling my wife too. I'm like, look, the scene with Neil's little siblings laying around the couch, you're gonna fold with that one. Those little cute shits, man. But yeah, everything in it's really good, and there's so many Easter eggs that calls to almost every single aspect of all Star Wars. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to watch the new episode and the rest of the season.
I like the droids in episode 3.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was funny.
Oh, we got some new types of droids coming in.
No, like callbacks.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Well, that
Yeah,
one
cool.
droid,
Good stuff.
The IG,
What-
IG droids in it. Yeah.
that one was a badass.
okay.
He had a cool little action scene. Probably the coolest like action scene from a droid in episode 2.
You guys are Marvel fans too. Did you catch the guest voice actor from episode 3?
I didn't.
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm gonna.
I'm gonna sound like a noob, but there's a character, Doc Ock, the
Oh,
actor
Alfred
for
Molina.
him.
Oh,
Yes,
Alfred
he-
Molina.
He has about a 15-second voice cameo for a character. So
Hell yeah.
Ah, I should have remembered. You on Galactic Core podcast, you guys were talking about that, and it totally slipped my mind.
yeah, and I had no idea. I did watch some recap videos on YouTube and reading through different threads online too, and yeah, Andy brought it up again. And I was like, oh yeah, no shit, cool, really cool.
Oh yeah.
Nice. I was gonna say one last thing about this. We always talk the classic Star Wars is for kids, yada yada yada, which I tend to disagree with George's take on some of his responses to criticism, where he says, "Well, it's just for kids." I think to an extent that's a cop out. I think you can still write good stuff for kids. But all to say, I know Clone Wars always gets thrown in there as well. It's for kids, and I kind of laugh at that because yes, it is animated. But Andy brought something up in the chat, and he said, "Yeah, all the politics and death in Clone Wars was really aimed at kids." And I will say, yeah, absolutely. The theme, a lot of this stuff, people got beheaded. Anakin murdered a few people as a Jedi in the Clone Wars show. Like, yes, it's aimed for kids because it's animated, but it had some of the darkest themes and whatnot out of all Star Wars projects. Like, it was, especially season 7. But this one feels legitimately like this is for kids, but it can be really good. It's just fun.
I think Star Wars is at its best when it's at that perfect middle ground of adult and kids. Like Marvel's done that really well. What's the best stuff that's come out lately? It's been Andor. Going way back, Rogue One, everyone loves, and Mandalorian, not very childish. And that's kind of Star Wars at its best for me. I feel like.
Yeah, I would agree.
And plus, but all the fans are, 40 years old from the originals, and the prequels even they're 30.
Old
so
sweaties.
They're getting
yeah.
they're getting close to dead from the originals.
But Skeleton Crew's doing a good job. It is probably tailored towards kids more than a lot of that stuff we've liked lately. But it does feel like Star Wars. It brought the fun back.
Yes.
Like it's just fun.
A lot of aliens and creatures too. I like it.
Yes, that's a really
Like
good
what they're
thing.
doing.
They talk at the beginning of all the films, a galaxy far, far away, and we're just expecting, like some blue people, some squid-looking fish people, and then we have humans, and it's like, well, how many humans can there be in this galaxy far, far away?
Right.
That's what I love about Rogue One too. I feel like, especially in that new age of the Disney production, we get to see all these new, and you can tell a lot of it is, what is it called when you have it's not CGI, but it's like actual,
Mocap or like practical.
Yes, a lot of practical effects, and it's not a bunch of CGI crap. So really getting to see all these different species, it's just absolutely great, and it opens your mind a lot more to the story.
Hell yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into the good and the bad of Star Wars. A very general perspective. Whatever you have in mind, whether it's books, OG trilogy. Like, first of all, Brandon, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? And like, just everything you love about Star Wars. Give us all of it.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, that's got to be
Agreed.
the one.
Revenge of the
Across
Sith.
the board.
You know what? I'm not even gonna lie. It used to be Revenge of the Sith, way up here, and then my second favorite right here. But I got Return of the Jedi right here, man.
Okay.
There's so much in it that I love. I mean, the first 45 minutes, Jabba's palace, the Sarlacc pit, Jabba's sail barge, just everything that has to do with Jabba, Boba Fett, just all of that is I just don't see a single thing wrong with it at all. But yeah, Revenge of the Sith, man, you can't go wrong. That's just my Star Wars right there. It was that missing puzzle piece forever. I remember my dad always saying, this is going to make everything make sense. Because, I mean, he grew up he was born in the late 70s. So, I mean, he had the original trilogy right away, but he was always confused why it was just Star Wars at first. And then it was, episode 5 and then episode 6.
Right.
So there's all those questions I mean, poor sweaty boomers. I mean, they had 20 years to where they had no idea like what was next, and then they get 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, Revenge of the Sith right there, man. It's just, that's some of the best to me.
There's that meme too of it's like people in the theater in 1977, and it's when Obi-Wan Kenobi mentions the Clone Wars. We're like, the Clone Wars? Like, what the hell is that?
That one line created
Yeah.
so much.
What is this made up bull?
That became one of
awesome.
my favorite scenes in A New Hope. Just them talking about Anakin and the
Oh my
Clone
God.
Wars.
Oh, it's great.
It's so big now. They evolved that to a
Well,
whole
and Alec
entire
Guinness-
section of Star Wars.
He's got such emotion in that it feels like when he performs that he's aware of Anakin and Obi-Wan's entire history that we've seen on screen, the brotherhood that we've seen them from all the projects and movies. And you go back and watch A New Hope, and you can feel that with Alec Guinness, like when he's longing. He was the best, space pilot in the galaxy and a good friend. And it's just such a great performance that it's wild that you can feel like he's talking about stuff that they had no idea was going on or what they were going to do at that point. But it just perfectly blends in. I love it.
He's like looking off into the distance, like reliving his memories when he says it.
Oh, he eats it up. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
a
you
great
feel
scene.
it. You feel it for sure.
Yeah, big time. Plus, and speaking of Revenge of the Sith, I think it's probably all of our favorites. Love Dave. Yeah,
Of course.
I think that really cemented Anakin's story, Darth Vader, as probably my single favorite story of any fictional character. Like, he has the best story compared to any other character in that fictional world. I think that's just incredible. Straight up.
It's so good. And you try to I have so many friends that are like movie buffs. They go see every movie. They understand what a good movie is compared to a bad movie, and then sometimes they say a bad movie or like a bad movie is a great movie. I'm like, dude, what? Okay. I'm so blind to all this, but it's weird too how they'll, most of my friends, they'll just be like, dude, like George Lucas just really is not good at telling stories. Like, and it's just like, I just have to disagree, man. I get some of the, like the cop-out statement you said earlier, David, like some of those things I understand, because that's just, it's just common sense. And it's, saying it's for kids is very much an easy way to kind of go over your, maybe not more so mistakes, but kind of your, just missed opportunities, I'd say, to kind of round out a story. But at the same time, George Lucas is the whole reason why we're talking right now. So that's, shout out to him and all the things that can bring us here having this conversation right now. But it's just, I just don't understand the hate sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
He's maybe not the best writer with some of his Shakespearean lines he had, Anakin and
With-
Padme talking to each other, but he's a
Dialogue has room for improvement, but
great, right, but he's a great creative mind and storyteller for sure. You
Oh,
can't
absolutely.
argue that.
Oh yeah.
No. Yeah. Look what he's
So-
created. I mean,
As probably the least Star Warsy guy here out of the four, did he write or direct any of those, or was he just overseeing all the projects, or like what was his involvement?
He
exactly?
directed A New
he
Hope.
wrote them.
Yeah, he
He
wrote.
directed A New Hope.
Yeah, but then he passed off
Oh.
Empire and Return of the Jedi to Irving Kirshner or whatever his name
I
is,
th-
and then Return of the Jedi
I
is a
th-
different director.
Yes, I was gonna say. So it's funny because the original trilogy actually had 3 different directors.
Right.
When we talk about the sequel trilogy all the time having different, creative control. But yeah, the original trilogy. But George was fully in on the original trilogy. Like he still had creative control with the directors who were doing stuff. But yeah, it was 3 different directors in that trilogy.
But he wrote
Indeed.
and directed all the prequels.
Oh, okay. So that's where the writing, the dialogue issues come in. That was directly George Lucas.
Oh, yeah, he did everything. It was
Yeah,
all
dialogue.
George.
You can, yeah.
Because the Padme Anakin stuff was probably the low point of those prequels.
It's like this is how you
Yeah.
talk to women. What?
This is definitely how people speak.
I'm
hate
haunted by the
sand.
kiss you should have never given me.
That's what.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. You walk up to a chick in the bar or like at a nice group meeting and be like, I really hate sand, and then you see where that gets you.
Oh, dude,
Not
that's how I
soft
got my
like
wife.
you.
Yeah. Still say it to this day.
Oh yeah.
I didn't do it on purpose, but my 3 favorites all come from each trilogy. So Revenge of the Sith, Force Awakens, and New Hope. Like those are my 3 Star Wars movies. Rogue One is, I want to put Rogue One up there too, but it's not like as groundbreaking. I freaking love it. It's definitely number 4. But
It's in a league of its own.
yeah, it's in a league of its own, Just like Andor. Andor doesn't really feel like it fits in with all the other Star Wars series. But the only ones I really don't like, well, now Rise of Skywalker. I have a tough time rewatching the whole Phantom Menace and Clone Wars, but there's also really amazing moments, like a lot of that Darth Maul stuff. Plus, seeing Anakin as a kid is really cool. But there's a lot of some issues. Still very rewatchable though. I'd rewatch those before Rise of Skywalker. But yeah, I really like that I could take one out of each trilogy non-intentionally and call each one of those some of my favorites. And then Rogue One, was so good. It kind of just set a new pace for Star Wars. Felt so different, yet it still felt like Star Wars. And then you didn't need that Vader hallway scene at all to make that a good movie. But as soon as you see that, you're just like so happy.
Man.
Yeah.
Talk about best use of fan service possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't need it there, but my God, did you? Because that was incredible.
Yeah. Every time I watch that movie, I'm enjoying it, but I still just can't wait for that one little scene. That's how I introduced my kids to Darth Vader. It's like, sit down, look at this scene, son. This is Darth Vader.
Stare at. Just like holding his head, like stare at it.
Yeah, that's what makes me think they could really get away with a Darth Vader movie. You could do give us 5 scenes like that in just a story about Darth Vader trying to, like this comic. Charles Soule has a comic book, Darth Vader. I don't know what the title is, but it's pretty much the beginning of that comic is him right after Palpatine
It's
created
like
him.
the Rise of Darth Vader. What they just call it the Rise.
No, it's just called Darth.
I think it's
Vader,
just called
think.
Darth Vader.
Oh,
Yeah.
the comic. I'm sorry. I thought I was talking about the novel.
Yeah.
Is that when he goes off and gets he gets the Kyber crystal from the Jedi and then bleeds it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Could you
And-
imagine that live action or even
Dude.
animated? I'm
Yeah.
Oh
crying.
my God.
it would be amazing. I would just
Amazing.
really love. And the magic with Darth Vader is not only did Homeboy sell the rights to his AI voice.
James Earl Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, James Earl Jones. I hate myself for
James.
forgetting his name every time.
You
but
should.
and you don't. It doesn't matter who's under the suit. It's just a suit. You have his AI voice, and even if you didn't, you could probably mimic that voice pretty well. I don't know. I think that'd be a no-brainer, and you could say it sounds desperate, but I really think they should do a Darth Vader movie at some time in our lifetime, because I think it would just kill. And just do that story. You don't even have to follow the comic directly, but show what he does right when he becomes Darth Vader. Show him finding a lightsaber. Show him building Mustafar, and That would probably be the most exciting Star Wars project I could possibly imagine, unless they revealed that they're like Denny Villeneuve was going to do a Darth Bane trilogy.
Oh my God.
Something like that.
Or Old Republic something, or oh my God, that'd be incredible.
The Old Republic is their untapped potential. I can't believe they haven't dove into that. There's also a lot of comics on that, a lot of books on that, ton of books on that, and it's Sith oriented. I think Darth Vader, that might be a cop out, might sound desperate, but the Old Republic doesn't, not at all. And you got a lot of good story to tell there.
Did you guys watch
Just
all
do
the Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So could you imagine if they gave us like Tales of the Sith Lord, and it's like Vader gets the first one, and like each
Exactly.
15-minute episode, we get Vader fighting the Jedi to get his kyber crystal. Like you can stretch that to 13, 15 minutes.
Easy.
Or at
Dude.
the end of A New Hope, when he gets blasted off in his ship, and he's just falls into that planet where he has to just like beat everyone's ass, like stuff like that. Like give us some of that stuff, like at least if we don't get the live action or even an animated series of Vader, at least maybe a Tales of the Sith Lord. Like there's just so much opportunity there.
Yeah, it's wild that they started off with Tales of the Jedi and didn't follow up with Tales of the Sith, but
Right,
instead
yeah.
went Tales of the Empire, and then chose Barisafi and Morgan
No.
Elsbeth, which is kind of wild. And again, I didn't mind it. I liked 2/3 of both of those 3-episode arcs, but it just really felt like the easy layup was to do Tales of the Sith after the Tales of the
Yeah.
Jedi. And I think everybody would have freaking loved it, but
It
I
seems
do
like they're
like
avoiding
Morgan-
Sith.
Yeah, it's
it could be.
it's like Tales of the Jedi, boom, Tales of the Sith. Like it felt like everyone was expecting that.
Yin and yang.
But
Right?
it's just I did like Morgan. I think Morgan Elsbeth's a very, very interesting character. Diana Lee, Santo, like really cool. Bruce Lee's goddaughter, like
Yeah.
dope.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very,
it's pretty dope.
very interesting. I'm pretty sure she's like a 3rd-degree black belt as well. I mean, how can you, be Bruce Lee's goddaughter and you're not at least some sort, a black belt? But at the same time, I mean, like, really interesting, but it just seemed really random, especially after her getting killed off in Ahsoka. It's just kind of like, oh, here she is again. Let's see what she did once upon a time. And then, hey, we were talking about all of Thrawn's entrances. What did you guys think of Thrawn in Tales of the Empire?
Yeah, it was nice. It was small, but
Yeah, very small. Yeah.
Yeah, it was small and short, but it had some connection to his novel. There were a little like the TIE Destroyer project and stuff like that. So it was interesting. I liked it.
Ooh, you think that TIE Destroyer project can come into his movie? That could be part of his big plan as a big villain. That'd be a really cool route to take. Something very villainy he wants to do.
Could you imagine those?
Yeah. What makes those TIE Destroyers different? What makes them special?
They can
Lightspeed?
jump into hyperspace, I think, on
That's
each
right.
one, and there's something else about their shields. I
Right.
forget exactly what it was, but they
Yeah.
weren't able to do it because they put all their resources into the Death Star program instead of continuing with that TIE Defender program.
Yeah. And that was a big part of the book, wasn't it? Him like deducing the fact that they are even
Yeah.
building a Death Star. That was pretty
Yeah.
cool. Very, very tied to lore.
Yeah, that is cool.
All right, Lub, loaded question. What do you love about Star Wars? Why do you love Star Wars? Why are you a fan? What is it?
Well, as you guys know, Star Wars is my first love, and first loves don't always work out, but they always hold that special place in your heart forever. No, it's the world I want to live in most. You could be a smuggler, pilot, maybe a spice dealer, get into some politics, be a senator. You could live on a farm or a swamp, do your own thing out in the wild. But the reason I really love Star Wars is the Force. Like the Jedi and Sith, dark versus light, but it's not just powers. It's not just, making things be able to float and using a lightsaber. It betrays who you are as a person. It can change you forever. Like if you go down this dark path, your emotions will take over and you will never be the same. So there's a lot more to the Force than, just what you see at first.
Yeah, the Force is a dope backdrop for the whole thing, and deeply philosophical. And to be honest, I don't really think that they are like with the dark and the light. If as an audience, I don't think they're trying to tell us like the Jedi way is the perfect way to live it all. I think it's totally for their own story, the way they use it. Because I think if we're going to apply it to our own world, I think there's plenty of the Sith way that is actually something you should apply to your life. With like your passions, especially like Jedi's are supposed to avoid their passions and stuff like that. I think they kind of hide the way of life for humans into both the light and the dark. And I think that's very interesting, though, how they play with that. I like that's cool that you included the Force itself as one of the big reasons that Star Wars is a thing, because the Force is very, very unique across all these nerd platforms, DC, Marvel, Lord of the Rings, anything. The Force is super unique, big time. All right, let's get into some maybe bad stuff. Which Brandon, I like one thing I love about your content is you're very positive focused. See the light, find the silver lining. Love that. So I'm actually really curious what you think when you think of like what Star Wars is not doing great lately. So take the floor.
You know what? If you guys want to hear something crazy that I used to hate, I can start that way. I used to hate Ahsoka Tano.
Really?
Dumb.
Get him out of here.
Just absolutely dumb. I know you guys just recently had a guest on that was talking about Luke Skywalker, and I was like, oh man, this guy's bold. It's a very bold statement to talk about. Yeah, shout out to him, because I was like, man, I like the boldness, and I will always listen to anyone's opinions, because I mean it gives me an insight on understanding Star Wars itself more and more. But yeah, Ahsoka at first, man, I had a really hard time with her character, just because, being a huge Revenge of the Sith fan, feeling betrayed myself that Anakin wasn't granted the rank of master. And it just seemed like in Revenge of the Sith, he did all these great things, and it just didn't work out for him, clearly. But I was like, Anakin wouldn't have, fallen to the dark side if he had a Padawan. But Dave Filoni, being the dude he is, each season gives Ahsoka just a little bit more to add to her story. And by season 7, I remember, right before COVID, seeing that, I was like, I'm done, dude. Ahsoka's top 5 character now. But yeah, like that was something that used to really bug me. Like if we didn't get season 7 of the Clone Wars, I would still not be a fan of Ahsoka, and that would definitely be my number one thing to talk about with the bad. But to kind of stay on track, I really do think my main gripe right now is just a good story. I feel like the direction and the production scale within Disney is just a given. No matter what, it's gonna look good, but just make the path as good. Just lay down the concrete and just pave the way. Just let it go. I feel like that's really the only thing with Disney that's kind of irritating me right now within the Star Wars universe. Is just, it's really not even like movies, it's just what comes from within. That's just kind of what irritates me right now. There's really no show or movie that's kind of got me feeling some type of way. I would say, I did like The Acolyte, but like I said earlier, I feel like it was the direction it set us up for. It just wasn't. I was waiting all season to be like, okay, where's the Sith at? I don't know who it is, but like, I see a red lightsaber, and this is really, really cool. But like, what's the Sith stuff we were talking about at Celebration? So.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, man, I try to stay calm to myself.
How about this? What is your least favorite Star Wars movie and your least favorite show? I'm gonna force some negativity out of you. I'm a silver liner
You
too.
will talk
but we
bad
gotta do
about
it.
Star Wars, sir. What do you think you're here for, man?
Who
Start
did you
ripping.
vote for in the election?
Kanye West.
That's
That
fair.
was last election. Sorry. Man, I think Rise of Skywalker's at the end. I did just do the the
saw that.
TikTok filter, and I that was the first one. I'm like, yeah, that's not anywhere above 9, so we're gonna go ahead and put that at 10. And I know Solo gets a lot of hate too, but I actually enjoy Solo. I think it's
Hey, I
just a
do
fun
too.
movie.
I do too.
And you get some cool Easter eggs, and of course Maul at the end. So I can't hate that. I feel like a lot of people hate that, but I can't. Star Wars show. I would probably go with the Resistance. I'm gonna
I haven't
take an
seen
easy
that.
way out. It sucks. It is not good. It's just not good. They have an entire Topps card pack as well for the Resistance, and it's like, what is the worth of this? Like, these should be handed out at your local DAVs, Goodwills. It's just not good. I think the only cool connection is one of the council members with Mon Mothma. Ziano is the last name. His son is like in one of the leads for the Resistance, and I mean, of course, it has to tie in with the sequel trilogy. So it's just like, another thing to just make these worse. But that's probably my least favorite for sure. Like I said, I'll take the easy route.
What about live action shows? Out of all those, Boba Fett and all that, what's the worst one? Disney Plus? Because I don't even fucking know what the Resistance is, to be honest.
It's an animated series. It's terrible. Don't watch it. Man, I don't know. See, Book of Boba Fett, I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. That was when I stayed up till 2 a.m. every single week to watch the new episode, and I enjoyed it.
Mando season 3.
Yeah, I
put
the
that
Jack
above
Black,
Boba Fett.
the Jack Black and the Lizzo. That episode is probably the worst thing I've ever seen within Disney Star Wars, because it's like, man, we're getting Christopher Lloyd in here as well, and he's like a separatist loyalist. Like, how dope is that? He's talking about Dooku and like this way back. And it was cool, Christopher Lloyd talking about Christopher Lee, like, they're really, really cool, connections there. But then it's just like, dude, Nacho Libre and Lizzo, the chick who sings "It's About Damn Time," like, this is too close to reality to be talking to Bo-Katan and Din Djarin and playing freaking space cornhole with Grogu. Like, dude, come on, man.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, you got it out of me.
There it is. We got it.
You hate
We
Star
did
Wars. I had no idea.
I hate it all, man.
But speaking of hate, well, let's just rewind, because I purposefully took David out of the love conversation. Him and I got into a really heated argument before this about our podcast, at each other's throats. So I really didn't want to do this, but I guess I just have to. Dave, I want to hear what you love about Star Wars, why you're such a big Star Wars fan. Why did you make me a Star Wars fan?
Don't you dare.
Selfish. You know how many hours of my life that you forced me to commit myself to?
It was pretty selfish. I didn't really consider the things that would follow after that, but yeah. So I kind of, just as a whole. So again, I know the last 5 years I've been more negative than positive about Star Wars, and I don't like that. I mean, it's more just been disappointment, because I felt there's been so many opportunities for great Star Wars content that they kind of missed out on. Again, I'm not an Acolyte fan, although I liked some aspects of it. But Brandon, you kind of pointed out one of those reasons is because of how they described it leading up to the show, and then what it turned out being. So I just feel like over the last 5 years, I've been more negative than positive about Star Wars, and I don't like that looking back on it, because yes, I feel validated in my negativity, but I have friends, who say Star Wars is dead, yada, yada, yada. And I just, look, Star Wars is always going to be in my life. Even at its lowest, you can't take away what Star Wars does and always has done for me. What it meant to my childhood, the joy and wonder it brought me. Like, there's a reason I'm 32 and I still make lightsaber noises when I clash something with a stick. Or I walk in a room sometimes and act like I'm force pulling something over to me. There's a reason why I'm looking up lightsaber combat classes in my area. And if you think that's a joke, I found one near me that does sword fighting and lightsaber training and goes into the various combat forms of lightsaber training. So no, I'm not joking about that. And there's a reason why I feel such happiness when my niece comes over and the first thing she wants to do is play with my old Star Wars toys or watch a Star Wars movie. Got married on May the 4th. I had Star Wars soundtracks during my wedding. Like, there is a reason
I didn't
to
even
this
know
stuff. Yeah, May the 4th. That's our anniversary. And walked out to the A New Hope celebration score at the end of the New Hope movie. That's where I walked out of my wedding after the ceremony, up the aisle and all that. And there's a reason, man. There's a reason Star Wars is so prevalent in my life, and it's because of that magic that it brings into it. Not just the Force, like Lub said, but the storytelling, the hope and joy it brings, the conflicts and the complexities of good and bad, like you were saying, JD, with the Sith and the Jedi and the differences, and neither one is absolutely right, but there's so much to pick apart from that, and it's just a magical world that takes you out of reality, and I think it's just been such a crucial part of my fandom and my interest in movies as a whole, and it's just that Star Wars magic. So I think the Force is a solid kind of point to one of the coolest aspects of it, and just lightsabers in general. If I'm being straight to the point, that's been my lightsabers is just amazing, bro. Lightsaber fights, everything about lightsabers and the Force is just one of the coolest things out there. And so that's what I love about it. And although I've been negative, and although I don't trust movies anymore because we don't get movie releases, I still have hope. And Star Wars will never die for what it's done, but also because there's creators out there who have the same passion and love for Star Wars that we do. Amazing projects will be made. The studios just have to find the right people and put the power in their hands. But they're out there, and I think some of them are already at the helm of some of the future projects coming up here. So Star Wars is never truly going to die, no matter what bad projects they put out. That statement will never be true to me, and it's for a reason. So that's my monologue on Star Wars and why I love it so much. But
That was actually really touching.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm also. Me and my wife got married on May 4th as well. It's a cool date.
no kidding, dude.
Yeah.
Virtual handshake. That's
Nerds.
Yeah.
How was that your wedding, Dave? I don't remember that being
I
May
know,
4th.
I can't believe you didn't pick up on it. It's
That
so
wasn't just
rude.
a ceremony. Like, that was the wedding, right?
That was the wedding. Yeah.
And it was May 4th.
May the
That's
4th.
yeah, that's crazy. That's cool. Maybe I should have gotten married on May 4th, but we did December. So
Well, you
that's
blew
pretty
it.
cool, too. You know, it snows places, and
Star Wars movies come out in December. typically.
sometimes.
Hey, yeah.
So there you go.
Sometimes.
I think I would probably have the most negative take here. I feel like Star Wars is will never die, but it is like that oak tree in your freaking yard that's just got not a lot of green on it anymore. I think it can come back though. Maybe we just haven't been watering it. That's the only issue. I think it's super strange how disjointed it feels. And I didn't love Boba Fett, to be honest. I didn't like the Acolyte, except that one episode. I think it was episode 5. It was like one of the coolest
4.
episodes in all of Star Wars, period. Where
That is so true.
I mean, that was really,
That
really good.
is. It's so good.
And I loved Kamir. Kamir was sick. I really liked that story. Some of the writing and some other stuff was weird. It just seems so disjointed. Why are they confirming movies, not coming out with movies? It's been 5 years since we've had a movie. It sounds selfish given that episode 6 ended and then you waited 20 years for episode 1. Still, it's just really strange to me because it's all under the same hierarchy. And I think maybe these past 5 years have been really so bad, in my opinion, maybe because of this man named Bob Chapek. And he also did this. Marvel was not really great for those 5 years either. Our boy Bob Iger came back. Bob Iger was the guy who was the CEO of Marvel, or CEO of Disney. I don't know. He was one of the top dogs when Marvel was at their best. Phase 1, 2, 3, up until Endgame, and things really went downhill from there. And I kind of think that follows the Star Wars going kind of downhill for me. I did like Ahsoka a lot, and I loved Obi-Wan, Andor. There's still a lot of great stuff going on. That's why it is alive still. They're totally breathing. It just seems like they are all over the place without a plan. And I'm just gonna keep comparing it to Marvel because I mean it's all under Disney anyway. But Phase 1 through 3 Marvel, everything felt coherent. Every single movie came out, whether it was amazing or not. There's still some stinkers. Felt coherent, but I cannot say that about Star Wars recently. Now that Bob Iger's back, I have hopes for the future of Star Wars. I do. Skeleton Crew's a good look into that. Plus Mandalorian and Grogu, that whole Mando side of things. That's all been really good, you know. So Bob Iger's back. I really hope that bleeds into a much more coherent and better Star Wars. I just feel like they didn't have their shit together these past 5 years. Well, luckily they've had a few wins along the way. But man, I've lost a lot of faith in the franchise. Luckily, I still got a lot of books and comics to read, so like I always go back to those, and it always gets me back into that Star Wars mood. But man, they really, in my opinion, have just been off for the past, ever since Rise of Skywalker, with the exception of a couple wins. So still, I'm optimistic moving forward, especially a couple of projects I'm really looking forward to. Dawn of the Jedi is like my most exciting project in Star Wars I've seen in a long time. James Mangold is directing this thing. He did Logan. He did Ford versus Ferrari. It's an origin of the Jedi, origin of the Force, one of the two. I think that sounds freaking awesome. I think it's stepping outside of whatever kind of realm they're dealing with now, which kind of leads to another gripe, is they are still sticking in the same era of the OG, the Skywalker era. Like, they have so much galaxy to play with, and they're just stuck in this little era. So many great stories to tell outside of that. Yet I don't know why they're sticking around with this. And yeah, so I think I'm optimistic about the future, but I'm pretty negative about the past, half decade or so. But that doesn't take away that Star Wars is still one of my favorite franchises.
Respect.
Yeah. Sorry, man. No.
Sorry.
No. But big comic guy, big book guy, and that's really going to keep me going forever, because there's still 100 freaking books I haven't read. There's still 50, 60 comics I haven't read. So there's a lot to dive into still. Yeah. It's just weird if you compare Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige. You got your Bob Igers or your Chapeks up here, and then Kathleen Kennedy right below for Star Wars, and Kevin Feige right below for Marvel. I think Kathleen Kennedy is kind of the problem. Kevin Feige, has his shit together. He does his thing, but Kathleen Kennedy seems to be all over the place. Do you think that Kathleen Kennedy needs to be replaced, or you like what she's done with Star Wars? Like, you want something different out of someone overseeing all these Star Wars projects, Brandon?
I feel like with her, it's such a goofy ass topic, because you look at someone who has such that power within Disney, and it's just like, well, who am I to her and to be like, oh yeah, she needs to get out of there, But at the same time, I feel like it seems like she doesn't know who the target audience is.
Right.
And that's the thing I can really pick from her situation within Disney, is it's just like, we want to make everyone, especially in this new era where, there's so many, different groups of people that they want to fit into this galaxy far, far away. And it's just the way they want to do it, other than like, here, Star Wars is for everybody. It seems like it's like, okay, let's target these, the people that are 50 to 70. And then now let's target these really young kids who are, more so into like hardcore movies. Let's give them, or even like, middle-aged people. Let's give them this hardcore show like Andor that really focuses on like a good story and good production. It's weird how we're getting so many different things, but it's just so many different ideas and ideologies, because it's just like, guys, we're all in Star Wars. Just, it's a big galaxy. Let's expand a little bit. But it just seems like she's trying to please this group of people with this show. She wants to, treat this demographic right here really well. So let's make this show that's really focused on this demographic. And it's just like, let's just make some Star Wars. And your pockets will be fatter. I promise you. But I think it's just insane though, like on Twitter, especially like after the Acolyte, it's like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy is sent to the gulag, and it's like, well, like, why? Like, just give the lady a break. She can buy all of our houses right now and just take everything from us if she wanted to. But, I feel like it's not that deep, but at the same time, that's my thing with it. and I feel like it's really important.
For sure. I just feel like she greenlights all these shows, and then the directors come in, they're signed on. Why do 80% of them quit a year later after confirmation? It seems like she's giving them weird notes, confusing them, making them do certain things they're not comfortable with, or something like that. And they just have a weird track record of people quitting the projects. And like so many projects are confirmed and then not happening. It's strange.
So
I don't
weird.
know. I don't know that I could be a Chapek thing, and he's gone now. I don't know how much of that is her or him, but I want more coherency. That's all. You know, it's still alive. I got hopes for the future. Dawn of the Jedi, man, I really can't wait. Andy,
Oh, yeah.
Andy in the chat says, "Don't get JD started on the Last Jedi." But just to sum it up, I mean, I've already talked about it. They don't have a blueprint. They didn't have a blueprint for 3 movies. And Star Wars, like the most legendary franchise ever, and you're going to tell me you're going to release a trilogy without having a 3-movie plan in place. That's weird. That's really weird.
Yeah, you can tell it goes in different directions. That's probably my biggest thing I take from it too.
Yeah.
But I also think Carrie Fisher's untimely passing had a lot to do with the Rise of Skywalker.
Ooh,
that was
yeah,
supposed to
good
be,
point.
That was supposed to be her movie. Han Solo was Force Awakens. Luke was Last Jedi, and Leia was supposed to be Episode 9. She passed away, and they had to pivot. They brought J.J. Abrams back last minute, and it was a mess.
Damn, dude, that's I would have never ever thought of that.
Right. Because there was that original Episode 9 script where Kylo's the villain, Leia's kind of the one who is intervening between Kylo and Rey the whole movie. I mean, it would have been better for sure.
Took on the mentor.
Damn.
Yeah.
But shit, on the flip side, dude, there's a lot of really exciting stuff to look forward to. Mandalorian and Grogu, like that's gonna be good. I feel like movie quality. Come on, I mean that sounds really fun.
It's already
Dawn of the
done filming,
Jedi.
too.
Yeah, filming soon. And to be honest, I'm still excited for this trilogy. Whatever this Simon Kinberg trilogy is, I am really excited. I'm excited to sit down and see an opening scroll again. You know, just hearing that music, sitting there waiting for a story. And I guarantee they have a blueprint for a 3-movie plan this time. Dawn of the Jedi, Mandalorian, Grogu, Ahsoka 2, and then that Thrawn climax movie. I think Star Wars is coming back hard, dude. I'm really excited. I just can't wait for any Star Wars movie to come out. Plus these series, plus Andor season 2 is coming out, dude. We got some good stuff coming from Star Wars. Like everything that's confirmed that seems like it actually is going to happen. Every single one of those is pretty exciting, and you have Skeleton Crew pushing us into all those. So you get a really nice series coming out to pick us back up, and then we got a lot of epic stuff coming out. All right. Well, anything else? Love, hate, love. Anything, anybody? Or should we get into these questions?
We can get into the questions.
Question or dip.
All right, let's do it. Brandon, I appreciate you staying up for this. I know it's later over there in Kansas.
It's all good. This is actually the best time. Baby's sleeping and for a good stretch, and it's so much better than in the afternoon where I got to be like, yes, this is a great question. Yes, so that's but yeah, no, it's all good, man.
Love it. All right. Question time. So let's have some fun with this one. Let's start with a would you rather. And Dave, let's start with you. Would you rather have a 9-to-5 job as co-pilot to the Millennium Falcon with Han Solo, but every day you're facing Imperial pursuit, or fly an X-Wing in a massive space battle once a month for the rest of your life?
I just wanted to say I appreciate the creativity of this premise. The once a month and everything, I freaking love it. I'm gonna ride with my boy Han and Chewie in the Millennium Falcon. He's survived this long. The man made it. He would have kept surviving from the Empire if he didn't trust his son and have his son stab him in the stomach. He would have been living for even longer. So I get to travel the galaxy with one of the most cunning smugglers in the universe, kick it with him and Chewie, which you know is going to be a good time. You pick up stragglers along the way, pick them up. It's just it's a what's it called? Hitchhike and travel across the galaxy. And there's action, so you get to learn some combat and stuff while you're fighting off these terribly aimed stormtroopers that you can probably just blast like it's nothing. So I would take that. The massive space battle would be wild, but I feel like if you get in enough massive space battles, especially
You're
once a
dead at
month,
some
I
point.
don't know if you're gonna live for a year. I think those things are a crapshoot. So I'm gonna roll with Han and Chewie. I think that's a good life.
So I saw it as like either a quick death or like potential imprisonment for years of your life. So that's why it was hard.
Well, I'm going out on my own terms. They catch us.
but the best point is you're with Han Solo, who successfully avoided the Empire for his whole life. So that might make it a little easier. Love.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Dave. I think the X-wing one is just too repetitive, where you're just, all right, we gotta go back to battle again. Hopefully, I make it. With Han, there's kind of that wild card where you're gonna be going, playing some sabacc with Lando one day, going back to Tatooine the next, paying off Jabba a little bit, talking some smack,
some
getting out of
Twi'leks.
there. Yeah,
Be a fun life.
it'd be a fun life. It'd be a wild life, but a fun life where the X-wing's more like a military style life, which I ain't trying to do that. No offense, JD.
Military's great. No, I don't like it that much. But if any of my commanding officers are listening, it's the best. It's awesome. I'm
fantastic.
committed. Yeah. I think Dave kind of sold it from the get-go. Brandon?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ride in the Falcon, man. That's because could you imagine one day it's just like, yep, about to go out Porkin style this time. Can't catch me lacking like that. I gotta ride with the boys, and I mean, Imperial Pursuit every day, like, yeah, that would suck. It'd get annoying, but I feel like at some point you could, turn that into not an everyday thing. You could hide out somewhere for at least a little bit and avoid them. But yeah, it's Han Solo, the Falcon, Chewbacca if he's there as well. Yeah, it sounds like a great time.
Damn it, I made this too easy. I agree with all of you. That's a way better option. You're going to die in a year. An X-Wing battle once a month, you're dead.
Yeah.
Been 30 months.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like
everybody
you're just
died.
waiting to die at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, by month 3, you're like, well, I think I want to die next month.
Yeah, you're not living to your
Hands off
90s.
the
that's for
handle.
damn
No.
sure. All right, next. Hopefully it's harder.
Holdo maneuver.
Lub, if you were the top Jedi Master back in the day creating the rules, would you enforce the rule of no attachments? Or would you allow the Jedi to love and risk the corruption that comes from losing that love?
I have a cheating answer. I'm gonna say yes and no.
Wrong.
Because obviously all the Jedi still had some form of attachment. Like Obi-Wan loved Anakin, Anakin loved Obi-Wan. But you have to know how to deal with them and how to deal with loss at the same time. Like you have to know how to keep these emotions to a limit to where they won't overcome you if something bad happens. Like Yoda had the right idea when he was talking to Anakin, but he just didn't care or give him the time needed to figure things out. He's like, hey, the ones you fear to lose, you have to just, not care about them anymore. And it's like, I don't know about that one, but he had the right idea where, you have to, the loss of your mother, the loss of your wife is sometimes just fate. And you have to learn how to deal with fate and not try to, change the future. So there's a line to these attachments.
Yeah.
I like it.
Brandon,
That's
what are
good.
you doing?
I think I'm gonna allow it. I feel like you can build so much trust from within when you have those attachments, those relationships. Because I feel like in our lives here, it's just like the people that we work for, or, the businesses that we run. It's just like I think it would just be crazy for all of us to kind of give everything to what we work for, but we can't have that outside source that brings us comfort every day. Like I bet it's just weird. And especially Kenobi in the Clone Wars too, telling Sabine, if you would have told me the words, I would have left the order. Like that's heavy, man. Like that's heavier than anything he's ever said to Anakin on Mustafar almost, because that was just like a brother to brother conversation. That wasn't
Love.
yeah, it wasn't like love in that aspect. So yeah, that right there, when I saw this question, I was easily like, yeah, that's the first thing that popped up to me. So I allow it, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm allowing it. I think love and family is like the freaking purpose of life. What's the reason to live if you don't have someone, a wife, your kids to teach? That's freaking life, man. That's like the purpose of everything. It feels like that to me anyway. That's my simple, short, sweet answer. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of close to what leaning towards Caleb's kind of happy medium with it. And do what we all screamed at Yoda while we watched the prequels. Whatever we're all saying is, bro, talk to him. Don't just tell him to suppress it and ignore it. No, you can't think about that, Anakin. Go to your classes. Like, no, bro, how about you treat them like a human and teach them to acknowledge attachments and emotions. Don't train them to ignore them, but to control them. And yeah, it's going to be, look, if you can train these kids from 3 years old to control the Force and do all this incredible stuff, you can train them during those same times to understand emotions and attachments. And when you get to that point to know, whatever you need to enforce in them to avoid corruption down the road, like trying to take over the whole galaxy just to save your wife, something like that. Just teach them the difference. If they're so adept mentally with all this stuff, I'm sure they can figure out how to handle emotions like that. So yeah, I absolutely. We saw what happens when you don't let that happen. It's not a recipe for success. So
Yeah.
For sure. Well said. All right. I think that's across the board. Kind of let emotions or attachments. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. Favorite lightsaber. If you're a freaking Jedi or a Sith, I don't know. I know they all got red. Just pick your favorite. What's your color lightsaber? What are we working with?
Sorry.
Who wants it? Take the floor.
Real quick, Andy did throw out there before we peeled off. I just saw this. Jedi aren't Jedi. Jedi aren't Jedi if they have that attachment. They would compromise missions for those they love. So there is that argument with the pure focus of a Jedi and what it takes to be able to have the control of the Force and whatnot like that. I feel like you can still teach them how to operate with that.
The Jedi don't have a great track record. Let's be honest. They've lost a good big battle or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just let them love, and then they would be stronger for it.
Live, laugh, love, dude. The
Frickin'
Jedi
Andy.
slogan.
Bang.
All right, sorry.
Andy's a Sith, though.
Andy
what is he
derailed
talking
us.
about?
So Andy's choice is a red lightsaber, no doubt. Brandon,
All right.
what are you
Man,
going with?
I need a yellow one, man. I
Yellow.
think it's just so clean, and it does represent wisdom, if I'm not mistaken. And that is, I wouldn't say I'm, carrying the wisdom, but I would definitely take it for the looks. And I mean, it's clean. Could you imagine like a black and silver hilt, but with the yellow emitting out the top? That would look pretty clean.
Oh, I can imagine it, and I've made it in Jedi Survivor many times. And it looks great.
Yeah.
Like it.
I think I got to go with purple. Purple's my shit. Mace Windu.
Oh,
A
Hey.
little in between. Dark
That
and
purple
light.
is clean, dude. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is
exactly.
dope.
And that's where my kind of ideology sits. I think the Jedi and the Sith both have a little bit of right in their ideology. So I'm going, yeah, purple. Purple. I think it looks sick. I think my second would be
Revan too.
green. Hell yeah, Revan.
Revan.
Hell yeah, which another great book. Revan, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
Purple looks so clean, but green is my second. I think green looks really cool too. But yellow looks pretty sick. When Rey brought that out at the end of Rise of Skywalker, I was like, that looks pretty dope.
That was dope.
Yeah.
It's cool too because her lightsaber hilt was made from like the bottom of her staff.
Staff, yeah.
And it's like, man,
I liked her new lightsaber. That was dope.
Yeah, like the spinny twist emitter on there. That's dope. Bring that back in a trilogy, all three. Ignited the entire time, every scene.
Just
Hell
walking
yeah.
around using it as a flashlight. Hell yeah.
You can't see, I got you.
Love, what are you rocking?
Yeah, no, go ahead, love.
I'm gonna go with OG blue. I mean, I know it's just good old fashioned, but I mean, come on, Anakin, Obi-Wan, both blue, and blue is associated for ones who are loyal, stable, and fight for justice. So they're the fighters, the good ones.
You're Ned Stark. Very honorable.
Yeah. I'd like to say red, like I got it at Galaxy's Edge. I got a red lightsaber there, but that was just me, having a good time.
Don't you have a purple one too?
Oh, I have a purple
Yes,
kyber
now we're
crystal as
talking.
well. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Nice.
There you go.
Dual wielder. I like it.
So I've seen those things where it says the different, the different colors for the green ones are for like the wisdom, yada yada. But I feel like I don't feel like that's consistent through the lore. I feel like they always kind of, yeah. But I gotta say, out of the originals, if we're just going the originals, the first we saw type deal, green has always been. I've loved Luke's green lightsaber was so clean in Return of the Jedi, and it looked incredible in Mando. I use green a lot in Jedi Survivor. I just think it looks clean. And then right below that's going to be cyan blue. So the blue tint that Luke has in A New Hope. Dude. So in A New Hope, the blue is different. It's much lighter, obviously, because of VFX. But you can choose that in Jedi Survivor now where it's a lighter. It just looks so clean. Blue's dope, too. But if I'm going overall, I'm going with the white blade. I think Ahsoka's white lightsabers look so sick.
And the sounds too.
Oh yeah, dude, I love how they all kind of have a different sound design too. Again,
Yeah.
I hate to keep going back to this. Even in Jedi Survivor, when you switch the color of the blades, it's a different emitting sound for each one. It's like everyone has a
Yeah.
little different. It's dope. But yeah, the whites are just clean.
Oh, yeah. Purple, yellow, white, blue. That's cool. We all chose something
you go.
different. That's a first for the questions. Love it. All right. How about this? This comes from Brandon also. Lightsaber question was from Brandon too, by the way. Here we go. Stuck. So pretty much, would you rather be stuck in the Dune Sea on Tatooine for 12 hours or in the wild on Hoth for 12 hours?
It's a brain buster.
Let me just, before we get into it, I'm not, like, I'm ashamed of my Star Wars fandom. I can't really put these into perspective. I should have looked them up. Dune Sea on Tant. Just explain to me what these two things are, please.
One's hot, one's cold.
Pretty, yeah. So like, like when Cad Bane just pulls up on Cobb Vanth, walking out of the desert, just out of nowhere. It's hazy, it's nasty, it's hot. You can see the mirage. Not good.
That's the Dune Sea.
Yeah, like way out in the
George
Dune
didn't
Sea.
even try to fake it on that one, huh?
Yeah, he just straight
Dune
used the
Sea.
word Dune. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Hoth is obviously Battle of Hoth. That's just full on snowy ass planet.
Yeah, straight snow, and I mean, we could go right out in the middle, just hot as hell on Tatooine, or maybe we can go with the Tauntaun scene with Luke when he gets caught by the Wampa. So maybe we can go with the blizzard aspect to the hot piping Death Valley sun.
Dude, that's hard.
I'd probably take Tatooine, I guess. If it's only 12 hours, I feel like I will just bear it out in the sun, get a bad sunburn, lose, 10 pounds in sweat. On Hoth, after maybe hour 4, you're like frostbite, looking for cover. Like I feel like you have a better chance on Tatooine.
Okay.
Damn, dude.
I went the other way. I went Hoth. And I don't know why my brain didn't process 12 hours, which was clearly written in this. The whole
was
time
thinking,
I'm
like,
thinking
forever.
multiple days. Like, yeah, dude. But I went Hoth because I'd rather freeze to death than die of heat and thirst. I feel like freezing to death, you go kind of in your sleep at a point because you just don't feel anything. And the other reason was I'd take my chances with the Wampa over a Crate Dragon and
Shai Hulud.
Tusken Raiders trying to snipe me from deep, and Shai Hulud, yeah, if he pops up too. But yeah, I'll bear the cold. We can make it 12 hours. I don't think I'll run into a Wampa. I'll avoid the caves.
I guess I'll go snow too. I just wouldn't want that sunburn, bro. That sunburn's gonna be gnarly.
I'm
It
in the
is
sun
2
all day,
suns
every day.
too.
Double the sunburn, dude. You're cooked.
You can't even like,
Literally.
Yeah, your back and your front. I'm going ice. I'm going ice. If I was backpacking, right? If I was hiking for 12 hours, I'd rather do that in snow than
Yeah, are
Just-
you coming prepared, or are you just
You're moving.
dropped in your?
That's the
t-shirt
other thing.
and
If I got a
pants,
jacket, yeah.
you know.
do I have my purple lightsaber?
Yeah, I got my purple lightsaber and a North Face. I'll be all right.
I'm going ice.
But sorry, Andy. Hey, the wampa is actually a sensitive species, not aggressive unless provoked. Well, there you go. I'm going to Hoth. Maybe I befriend it. Start riding him into battle.
Or you can,
You
you
just
can cut it
misunderstood.
open and hide inside its body for warmth.
Hey, this is my home, and
Hey, how you doing? Need some safety?
oh, jeez. Where's the robot chicken skit of that?
Tuck you away in the armpit, maybe. Keep the nice little warmth there. See, at me, I got to be on Tatooine. I love the hot weather. I just, when it's cold, man, my body just gets into pain. Don't feel good. I would have to be in the Dune Sea. But yeah, you're gonna get fried out there. But I mean, I'd rather take that than just freeze my ass off.
Well, if it's the Dune Sea, a giant worm might come after you too, so you gotta look out for that.
True,
Shia
that
LaBeouf
is
again.
true. Or if
Well, the
you could
crate
hallucinate
dragon, man.
and then just fall into a Sarlacc pit. I mean, yeah, that would not be good.
Then again, you could learn the dance, you could learn the walk, and the worm won't get you.
Yeah.
Have you seen Dune, Brandon?
I've seen bits and pieces. I understand the reference, but
Thank God.
yeah.
Yeah, we love Dune over here at Why So Cities. We're big fans. I haven't even
Dune
seen
guys.
Prophecy though, but
Big Dune guys.
Is that still airing right now, or did it just finish up?
The finale
going.
is Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's only a 6-episode miniseries, we think. I don't know if they're going to be a season 2, but initially it was just planned as a 1-season thing. Andy said there's actually, I thought it was just kind of a joke or literally from Robot Chicken, but apparently there's a short story in that certain point of view book from Empire Strikes Back about the Wampa, and apparently it's super sad and emotional. So apparently he actually
Damn.
is this misunderstood creature that Luke cut him open and slept inside it, or Han did actually.
that's dark.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
All right. How about this one? Who is the strongest Jedi on screen that we've ever seen? Who is the strongest Sith on screen that we've ever seen? And who wins the battle between those two? I'm going to refer to you guys for this one. I mean, I guess I would probably say the Emperor and Luke, and then I think the Emperor wins. But that's my short answer. But you guys are better.
Well, I didn't know exactly. I mean, we got Clone Wars. Technically, Darth Bane shows up on screen in Clone Wars as a spirit, but he technically shows on screen. But my initial thing was live action. My other brain went to the Old Republic cinematic trailers, and I
Got two
put
brains?
Revan as the strongest Jedi, Revan as the strongest Sith, and I think Revan wins. But my original actual answer, I think Luke Skywalker in Mando season 2. I think he was at a peak point there. We briefly saw him, but that's Jedi Master Luke, and George Lucas talked about the fact that I'm pretty sure he said peak Luke would have beaten Anakin Skywalker. And then I think the strongest Sith on screen was Emperor Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith. And unfortunately, I think Palpatine wins. But I don't know. That one's tough. You know what? No. Master Luke. Peak Master Luke wins. Screw it. We're taking Luke.
Force lightning, bro. I feel like Palpatine.
Yeah.
It's
he
cheating.
probably would.
It's
I mean,
kinda
Vader
cheating.
cheated and stepped in. But, yeah.
Yeah.
But Legend. Yeah. Anyways, those are my answers. We'll stick with them.
It was Luke and the Emperor, right?
Yeah.
Ha, I was onto something here. Freaking nerds. Love, what do you got?
I'd take Yoda and Anakin over Luke, to be honest. I think that both of them at the height of their powers would be overlooked. But I'm taking Yoda. I think Yoda is the most powerful Jedi we've seen on screen, and I think Palpatine is the most powerful Sith we've seen. And I'm taking Yoda. When they fought in Revenge of the Sith, I feel like
He was beat, yeah.
I feel like Yoda had him at the end when, Palpatine starts to do that cackling laugh, and then Yoda gives him that look like, I ain't fucking around anymore, and he stops laughing and he's like, oh shit.
Scared him for a sec.
Yeah, I feel like if it had more time, if they had more time maybe in like an arena where no one could escape. I feel like Yoda gets him.
That's another freaking project we need. I would love a Yoda movie. Just
Oh,
won't get
yeah.
into that, but do something with Yoda.
Andy in the chat. Lub showing his lack of knowledge as always, picking Yoda.
Whoa, come on. Are you serious?
That's crazy.
I want to hear Andy's rebuttal on that. Why is Yoda not worthy? Because I've always thought he's supposed to be like super freaking strong. We just haven't
Did
seen
you
it
not
really
see
on
Attack
screen.
of the Clones, Andy? Come on.
Well, I think. So are you picking Yoda because we just saw him on screen, and then you're considering him in the peak of his abilities, or are you talking actual abilities at the time of Revenge of the Sith Yoda?
No, I'm
Say
talking
peak.
Revenge of the Sith Yoda. Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. Okay. All right.
I want to see a peak Yoda movie, dude. Show us what that guy is. He's such a legend, but we haven't really seen anything all that crazy as far as power.
It's possible he spent 800 years not partaking in a lot of combat. It's possible he had a pretty boring life, and which is why he got complacent as the Jedi Master in the Order and all that stuff. But I still would be down. I always want more Yoda.
Oh yeah,
Brandon,
I'd be down with that.
Who are your top dogs?
I got Anakin and then Darth Vader, and they're just gonna fight each other.
That's a good one because
Nah, I'm just joking.
it's not a good one.
I'm gonna be real serious, and I just think it's Obi-Wan, man.
Okay.
I mean, has he been knocked down before? Yes, many times. But who always wins?
Yeah.
Even when he dies, he won.
Yeah.
Like straight up gangster, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I feel like the thing that he really mastered at was his defense, his skills, being able to block various lightsaber combat skills. He just never lost. I mean, and it's just like, I always have these conversations with my sports friends, talking about, like who's the GOAT, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan. And it's just like, I mean, they're all in the conversation, so obviously they're doing something right. But at the same time, it's just like, if I'm to pick one, it has to be Obi-Wan. I got Anakin up there. I got Luke up there. Especially like Mando versus Luke, especially because, Return of the Jedi was like, that's what gave him the power to go ahead and, increase his skills and, knowledge within the Force and getting to understand what the Jedi were before, everything, especially when his dad was there. But I mean, Anakin too, started at 9 years old. He was really late to it, but he was born with the gifted talent of having millions upon millions of midichlorians. It's just insane to know that he technically was robbed of a good situation if he didn't have those commitments and those attachments that we talked about. I mean, what could his true potential be? But yeah, give me Obi-Wan on the Jedi side, and then on the dark side, I would have to. I feel like there's no other answer than Emperor Palpatine, but I just feel like, and it's also like a what if, like if Vader was able to completely reach his true power at the dark side without limited physical attributes. Darth Vader
loss of
is
limbs.
literally the strongest thing ever. Maybe since like Darth Nihilus, the planet sucker. You're like,
Right.
yeah, that's pretty strong, But yeah, I'd have to go with Palpatine just because we haven't seen Nihilus on screen too, which is a good contender there. I mean, if you suck a planet up, I mean, what are we doing?
It's kind of unfair. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
hard to compare against that.
Yeah. So give me Obi-Wan versus Palpatine, and we've never seen that fight, and I think Obi-Wan wins.
Let's go. The master of
I
defense.
like the Obi-Wan. I think he's my favorite Jedi. Somehow even slightly over. Obi-Wan's he's the man. I'd probably take Palpy just because I think Yoda said like you can't face him, but maybe Yoda was wrong. Wasn't the first time he would have been wrong about something. So maybe it's true.
Or
taking Palpatine.
we can piggyback with Andy. Yoda is this little freaking dude that sucks, and he was scared to fight Anakin.
Oh.
He's lied many
no,
times
no,
before.
you can't handle Palpatine. You can just watch a videotape of Anakin slaughtering everybody in the Jedi Temple. Just you got to go after him, man. I'm gonna get the old guy sitting in the office.
All right. Well, Palpatine's Sith across the board. That's crazy. Luke, Obi-Wan, and Yoda. Hell yeah. Love it. All right. Love, you got anything for us?
I have a couple fun what if questions. First one's very serious. What if Palpatine didn't somehow return? No.
Then he just never came back.
Okay,
Probably
what
didn't
if
return,
Luke
yeah.
and Leia switched spots as babies? Do you think things would have ended the same? How would Luke be in the limelight? How would Leia have done undercover?
Where's the what if for that?
Right. So how do you think Leia would have done training with, Obi-Wan Kenobi finds her, she goes off to Dagobah to train with Yoda. Luke is the senator's daughter who is, in politics.
He's the daughter.
No, the senator's son, excuse me.
There's 24, man. You could do that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
That's
gonna
an
go
interesting
with.
question. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Wow,
go with.
that's great.
I think Leia would do better. She was less whiny. She was more about the business. He was
Right.
always kind of. I like Corona's take about Luke was kind of a boring character because I actually kind of tend to agree with him. Just the character himself. Plus, he was a little whiny, and Leia was. I'm telling you, she was just ready to get down, no matter what situation she was in, no matter what was going on. She was about the business, and I feel like she would have taken the training super seriously.
Wouldn't have left early, probably.
Perhaps not. Yeah, I don't think she would have left early. Ooh, that's a good question. I think Leia might have done better.
Well, if Leia didn't leave early, oh, you mean to go fight Vader, or?
At the end of Empire Strikes Back. when
Okay,
Luke leaves early,
sorry. I
saves
was gonna
his
say if she
friends.
didn't leave early, she'd be farming the moisture farming stuff.
She would have actually went to Tashi Station that next day, maybe.
Yeah, got those power converters.
That is such an interesting question. I feel like there's so many different, what ifs because, fans want that to come to light. But I mean, yeah, that would be insane. I mean, especially seeing like the Kenobi series too, about how, Kenobi watched over Luke and stuff like that. That'd be very interesting of him just watching over Leia. And also there's our, one of our first woman Jedi. That would be really cool. I'm all for that. But at the same time, could you imagine Luke being the whiny character he is as a politician? Yeah.
Wow,
Prince
that's a
Luke.
perfect politician, to be honest.
Yeah, very, very true. I feel like it'd be something that, we see it around the world, I mean, it is just an attribute of being a politician. Most of them are whiny, but could you imagine that under Bail Organa and the power that he had for Alderaan?
Oh, he's fired.
Yeah,
You're done.
It's such an interesting question, in which Andy gave you props, by the way. He said Lub redeems himself from a ridiculous opinion to a great question.
And he's just mad that I said Lord of the Rings is the best trilogy.
He's still a
is
little
true.
sour on that one, which is true. I agree. That's another station. No, I think that's super interesting, and I think it's hard to say though because maybe Luke was whiny because he grew up as a moisture farmer instead of in this rich life where Organa was a great father regardless. We know that, so I think he would have raised him up. I would like to think that he would have not been whiny. He would have been raised up very well and been a really solid role player coming into a politician and leading the rebellion instead of where Leia was at, pretty much taking over and leading the rebellion there. So is the whininess because of his upbringing and what he dealt with? Is the whininess just because his father was Anakin and we saw Anakin was pretty whiny himself as a teenager? Was he whiny just because that's how teenage boys are at that age? I don't know.
Nature
So
or
I don't know
nurture?
that you can. Well, that too,
That's what you did.
there's a
Same
lot
thing.
of different stuff there though with how they were brought up. So I think it's hard to say, but I would love for somebody to write a story about that.
No, you went even deeper. That's true. If like Uncle Owen's like, come on, go to work, go do the farm, you're probably gonna end up being kind of whiny. Maybe
And
Leia
what's
would be
the-
Lenny in that.
What's the
position.
gender roles on Tatooine during this time? Would Leia have had? No, I don't know. I don't know how it works over there in Tatooine.
She's like,
Wasn't allowed
Leia,
to be
where's
the
my
farmer? I don't know.
where's my dinner? No, it's just joking. 24 is dangerous to joke, but
That's a great question, though. I mean,
Yeah.
that really is. I
I
like
got a couple more.
well,
What if Rey
ended
took
on a high
Kylo's
note.
hand?
No. What was that?
What if Rey took Kylo's hand? Do you think they would have joined together on the dark side? Do you think she still would have been able to sway Ben to the light side?
that's in Force Awakens, right?
Good one.
Last
The
Jedi.
original
Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. Okay.
I feel like that's a good one. They just had that moment where they took out the Praetorian guards, which was dope as hell. That was so cool.
So
See, and I feel like he has that Skywalker in him too. Whining. That whole dialogue was so good by Adam Driver, just to keep in that. It kind of gives you that essence of like Anakin when he was talking to Padme about like, oh, we can change the galaxy. You and I together, I can overthrow the Emperor, stuff like that. Like it's just you hear the little arrogance and the feeling of power. Because I mean, Kylo Ren did just take out Snoke, the person who had made him turn to the dark side, turn on his family, yada yada yada. And I think that would be a very interesting aspect because Rey is looking off at her, her friends getting shot at, just like Luke did in Return of the Jedi. So I feel like it has a huge, huge circle that could go around, but I feel like maybe he might have had that edge on her to turn her to the dark side. And I feel like that's, a dark Rey, like when we get that in the Rise of Skywalker, I feel like that might have actually been like an original idea. Why do you just randomly throw that in?
Right.
Maybe something within the writing rooms. They're just like, it doesn't really make too much sense, but they kept the idea for like a dark flashback. That shit's badass. Give me a dark Rey, and Ben Solo. I mean, Kylo Ren. That's an awesome name. Really cool. I love the Sith part, but I mean, yeah, that'd be cool seeing him as a Jedi. But I'd rather see them both on the dark side. I think she would have made that choice. Especially after talking to Luke, he didn't really want to train her, and then he was just like, "Oh, okay, I'll train you, whatever." And then, so yeah, I'd like to see them both on the dark side.
And if she did do that in Episode 9, you could have Luke or Leia trying to get in between the two of them to bring one of them back to the light.
With Finn taking under the tutelage of Luke or Leia
Don't
and
ruin
being
it.
the
The
light.
Rise of
Hey,
Skywalker.
they ruined it by not letting him be a
Ooh.
Jedi. All right,
that's a
there
good
you
story.
go. It's in the title right there.
Well, you got to look at the background. If Rey didn't have parents to teach her, she didn't have love instilled into her. That's for damn sure. She lost her parents. That's just the grounds for going to the dark side.
The
It
Palpatine
really
clone
is.
that was out
True.
there banging.
It's all there.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah.
He couldn't fucking get the dark side essence poured into him, but he sure could go out there and slang a few.
I poured something else into some stuff.
I got one more. What if Grogu stayed with Luke? Do you think Ben would have still turned to the dark side? Do you think Grogu could have helped save this Jedi Order that Luke was trying to recreate?
Ben? Who's Ben?
No, Ben Solo.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm saying, if Grogu stayed, would
Oh,
things turn out different?
because he should be.
One of them.
I don't think
Dude,
so.
no, that's just crazy to think that if Grogu stayed with Luke, he would be involved in that trilogy.
Yeah,
That's a cool concept.
Or one
or
of the
Kylo would have
kills,
just slaughtered him too.
Poor
Kill the baby.
which we kind of thought might happen for a second.
Yeah.
It would have been so messy.
It's like, he has to leave here, right? Because this isn't gonna go down too well in a few years.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if anything. I would say I don't think anything changes. I think he still has his Jedi Academy and
Snoke's
whatnot,
still there,
and he
yeah.
still has the issue with Kylo. Exactly. Palpatine will still somehow return, and it was playing all these cards with Kylo. So I think Kylo would still turn once he gets to that point. So
Yeah.
I'll go with no.
Fair.
Yeah, I'd
Willie
agree.
says no. Or,
Yeah, I just like the concept of what if Grogu was there in the original trilogy. The timeline works out. During that trilogy, he was somewhere with Mando, unless we find out something different in these movies coming up.
Right.
All right, let's end it. It's been a long one with one more question. So, if you were offered the power of the dark side to save someone you love, would you accept it, knowing all the corruption that can come with that, or would you refuse and let fate decide your loved one's survival? Brandon.
Man, family is everything. Temptation, bring it on, dark side. We're gonna keep my family up.
I mean, you have a kid now too, so you'd do anything in the whole world to save them. So there's not even a question there.
Yeah, no. And plus, too, what if some like old weird politician dude's just like putting these images in my head to make me think that I need help from the dark side source, and it's Palpatine. You can't get me this time. I've seen this before.
Yeah, you got to do it. You're gonna save your loved ones.
Absolutely.
Those without children, what do you think?
Yeah, I kind of had a different answer because
Same. All right, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
because I'm gonna let fate decide. It kind of goes into the whole attachments versus no attachments thing, in kind of the middle ground, where you think the grass is gonna be greener. These new powers are going to save my dying wife or dying child, but will they? Like, will it actually turn out that in the way you want it, or will you just be more in shame and more depressed afterwards, and now there's no turning back to this new life you live? So I think I would try to, keep my hopes up, try to stick to the light, and pray for the best.
Ask for the Western medicine system to fix it.
Yes.
Exactly. I would just get a prescription.
Hopefully no one loses the will to live.
Take some ibuprofen.
I'm kind of, so I'm with, I was thinking, so what if this was a video game decision? Because it'd be easier to say that rather than I have no idea once you're actually in that position, like it's going to be a different process of actually making that decision. But I would like to think that, I think at the end of it, I'd refuse and let fate decide on, whatever's down the line, God's plan, whatever is planned out there. I think I'm gonna try to overcome the temptation, and it's just because of that reason. I think if I were to make a decision like that led to thousands of deaths, but it saved my loved one, would I be able to live with that? And would my loved one look at me differently, knowing that I had changed so much just to save them? So that would be my answer for it. But again, getting to that point, it's hard to say what decision would be made actually in that position.
Plus, is it like Palpatine telling you they might die in the future, or are they on their deathbed and you choose the dark side to save them or not?
If it's Palpatine telling me, then absolutely
Exactly.
not. Yeah,
Right.
I'm not trusting that bag of balls. But
Yeah, I guess I was just imagining one of my kids like, okay, dark side save them,
yeah,
light side they might die. It's like, okay, that's an easy decision.
yeah, that's fair.
All right.
Split, dude. I like it.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, love.
Well, thank you all for tuning in. That wraps it up for today's episode. Again, we are at Why So Sidious Pod, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, X. Clan Brandolorian is on YouTube, Spotify, TikTok. Anywhere else?
Instagram.
And Instagram. Check this dude out.
Yeah.
Great Star Wars content. We'll do another Week in Geek soon. We got the Superman trailer dropping Thursday, so hopefully we'll cover that. And yeah, just keep a lookout for some extra content coming out soon. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time on Why So Sidious a Nerd Podcast. Shoo! Long one. Thanks for tuning in. I mean, thanks for staying up this late, dude. We usually don't do these long of episodes, but we appreciate
Oh,
you.
nah, dude. It's probably one of the best live streams that I've been a part of, man. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah,
yeah,
dude.
dude.
It was a lot
I
of
had
fun.
a really good time.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. Yeah.
Glad to have you on. Yeah, love David. I know this is late for you guys too. I don't work tomorrow, so I'm chilling. But you guys
we'll rub it in.
sacrificed a lot.
No, it's fine. That was fun. I was actually really looking forward to just talking Star Wars. I feel like it's been a minute, so
Hell yeah.
it was nice. That was nice.
Yeah. Maybe we should do like a Skeleton Crew episode or something, like a season as a whole.
For sure.
I'm
Yeah, we haven't
definitely
been
gonna watch it. Yeah, and finish it up.
we haven't been doing episode reviews, but